know.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
But it's good because there is so much to share.
Yeah.
I forgot that. In September, I also went to Austria. There was a business, sales, and strategy mastermind with a lot of, I would say, more mature CEOs. Like they are in business for longer than we are.
Yeah.
And my business partner and I went there. And we also had a spontaneous session.
Yeah.
And we talked about LinkedIn ads, LinkedIn
Yeah.
growth, and our sales process. And I loved it. That was so exciting. It was 1.5 hours. And everybody was like, wow, you shared so much.
Yeah.
And that's why I think these events are
Yeah.
super helpful, because it's not just the one person that is a speaker, it's also like
it's
who
the
in the room
networking.
can share something. And then you see where you at, and then you're like, oh wow, there's so much more potential, because we're already doing
There's
really
always
good.
so much more.
And that's super interesting. And there's always one person at these events where you really click. And I think also that's the point. Like you don't have to connect with everybody. It's impossible.
It's impossible because of personality, right? If someone is not so much into sports, maybe not. You never know.
Yeah, it depends on your values.
Exactly. Yeah, it's cool. It's a lot busy. So you did speak at Tony Robbins, or?
No. I was speaker at the Microsoft Summit, and I was speaker at the event in Austria.
Oh, nice. And you attended Tony Robbins?
Yeah, Tony Robbins for 4 days.
Oh, nice. How was that?
Amazing.
Amazing.
So 2019, I saw the Netflix documentary about Tony. And then I was like, wow, I have to go there. That seems like this is this thing I need now. And that's 5 years ago. And then I was searching a little bit, and there was no event. So I said to myself, okay, the next time he's coming to Europe, I want to join. And then I started my self-employment basically after that time, and COVID hit us, and no events were happening. And on Instagram, I saw this app. Hey, he's coming to Cologne in 2024. And I think I booked it 2.5 years ago or what. Wow. When I saw the ad, I directly booked it. Yeah, or maybe 2 years. I don't know.
But still a long time.
When I saw the ad, I just booked it because I said, oh, that's on my bucket list for so long. And I was super excited to go there. So
was it worth it?
It was totally worth it. A lot of learnings, really good people. And also you run into the right people again. So backstage, not backstage, more like this VIP area. We bought the most expensive tickets because we thought we get most of the value out of it, because you have the restaurant and you have a place to meet. And then we meet SaaS owners, like all people in your niche, in your industry, and you get a lot out of this. So you have great talks. It's not just about Tony Robbins, because this is like 10, 11 hours a day. I personally can't attend it for 11 hours because there is so much going on in my mind. I want to write it down. I want to process it. I want to understand it. And if you take a time off and then you have these conversations and you get a lot of everything. That's how I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Need to do that too. It's on my bucket list as well.
It's something I recommend to everybody. The only thing I didn't like so much is that they do more video content now. So he's not speaker for 4 days. I also think his voice.
There's something
it's
going
not
on.
possible. He explained it like he shouldn't be able to speak, but he still manages it. But he's not on stage for 4 days. He has different speakers, and then they bring in some video content. But still 13,000 people go nuts, and it's completely out of your comfort zone. Like you're dancing, you're shouting, you're crying, you're hugging each other. And also that's something you learn super fast with these people around you, because you just have to. You have to adapt, because otherwise we are the boring German guy just sitting there and not clapping.
I'm not clapping, I'm not cheering.
Man, like I think I have to start from the beginning, like how it worked and what we learned. So initially,
we want to record that. Are you recording? Perfect.
It's already recording. So the first day was all about why are you here and what's your state. And I learned, my biggest learning on the first day was you can always decide your state. Like we have these goals, we have these milestones, and then we are happy when we reach them. and then we get that feeling. But the way is sometimes like more suffering and hard. But what if you think, I'm happy now? Everything you are doing till you reach that point will be so much more easier.
It's like an addiction, right? To get there all the time.
And then you will be more in a flow. And then you will enjoy that way. And you will be more successful, and it will be faster, and you will run into better people, the right people,
Makes
because you
total
attracted.
sense.
And that was so easy to understand, but I've never seen it before that way. Because when we are pushing and when we are in the grind, it has to be hard. And so I'm like, no, I enjoy it. I enjoy it till I'm there, and then I can enjoy it even more. Because if you check the box, you have that happiness for a short time, and then you have the next thing. Like this onion, you peel it off and off and off again. And that was super important for me. And so I understood, I want to be in that state all the time. I choose my state. And what I also learned on the first day is, how cheap is your happiness? What needs to happen that you're not in that state? This.
Good question.
One people in the traffic, or whatever. If I come here, Google Maps gives me the wrong way. I could be like, oh, fuck, shit, Google Maps. But no, man, I'm coming here super happy. Okay, 1 minute later, but still, because I choose that. And this question also, that stuck in my mind, how cheap is your happiness? No matter what happens, why should somebody or a situation be able to steal it or lower your happiness?
Very nice point of view.
That's so cool. And then I was like, peak state, all the time, peak state, peak state, peak state. Just be in your peak state. And he does that with a lot of exercises, singing, cheering, gratefulness exercises. And
how's a grateful exercise? How does it work?
It's like 10 to 15 minutes where he guides you it's like a meditation, but also with some kind of breath work, where you think of different events that make you happy and what you're grateful for and the people who love you. And then he gives you that kind of vision that you say like, okay, I'm connected to earth and that good energy is floating through me. And then it's like a movie that is running in your mind. It's not just these emotions, it's also that you visualize it and you really feel how warm you get from the inside.
Exactly. You
get into that meditative state, and then it's like, I'm ready for this day. And then you're so happy. And that's what I do actually right now when I go into the ice bath. I completely shut off and I try to focus on the good things. And then I get out of it and I'm
dopamine rush.
I'm cheering. I'm like, wow, that dopamine rush, that's so crazy.
It's really good.
So I think these were the most important learnings on the first day.
That was day one.
Yeah, day one was peak state, happiness, how cheap is your happiness, all that.
It's really good.
Day two was about the biggest changes in your life and how you overcame problems and challenges. And I think everybody had different realizations on day two. But for me, it was leaving Germany, leaving everything behind, friends, family, starting from scratch, completely out of my comfort zone, but pure rational decision. I made it because I knew I have to do it for logical reasons, to grow the business, to grow personally, to get away from everything I don't like, to attract the things I want to have. And the second thing was bringing in a co-founder, my business partner, which was not rational. It was a gut feeling. We met at an entrepreneur event, and I've never seen it so clear how much impact we had on our lives, because we are just doing that thing together since we both made the decision, and since then it's normal for us. And the funny thing is also here, I was never grateful for that. We just met, we made the decision, and then it was normal for
Everything's
us.
Everything's working,
blah, blah, blah. And Tony created that atmosphere, and it was the first time in my life that I had the chance to more think of it and
acknowledge it.
And just go deep and see what was the impact. And it was so clear. Wow, that was such an intense emotion. He was standing next to me.
Really?
I just hugged him for, 5 minutes, and I really felt it deep from my heart. And I was so thankful. And I said, hey, Ollie, I think I never told you, but you changed my life, or we both changed our lives. Because from our core values, we are completely the same. But from our personality, we are somehow really different. He's more like super excited, like jumping around, a little bit more into fast changes.
More emotional?
I would say that. And I'm more like structured, pushing, etc. And that's how we canalize both of our energies. And that's why we are such a good team. And I've never seen that. And this decision was completely different than other decisions I made in my life. And that was such a big realization for me, how important these two changes were. And then I valued these changes much more to see where they brought me.
It's really good.
That was day 2, and day 3 was about Dickens' process. So you go through all the bad things, all the bad happenings, all the challenges, and you really create that super negative energy, because Tony always says you can only change if you create the worst picture of what can happen. Like as an example, you don't do sports. And people always say, I start next week. I start tomorrow. I start next year, whatever. No, you start now. He said, like, there is no way to start next year. What can you do now? And why people don't start is because the pain is not big enough. I think that's obvious and we all know that. But he said, immerse the pain. Like, think of it, go through it. Like, okay, what happens if you don't do it? You can't walk. Maybe you need a wheelchair. Maybe you get a super fat belly. Maybe you can't play with your kids. And he said, immerse it, go deeper. And then he says, make it exponential, 2 times harder, 3 times harder. And then people really go nuts on these different areas of life and these feelings. And then he said, now take immediate action.
Crazy.
And think of the best thing that can happen, the best feeling you can get out of it. So he creates a super negative thing and a super positive thing. And then he says, now you have to act. And basically it's what we all know. It's not about motivation. It's about vision. But he creates vision different than we know it. Like, he does it more on an emotional side. I always had this picture of
the picture,
things.
It's not emotional.
And that's how he really challenges you.
It's super interesting. It makes all sense.
Makes completely sense. Makes completely sense.
The happiness point, totally agree with that. I mean, you should acknowledge your happiness way more often, daily, or so, because if you just, I really like that, because if you go from milestone to milestone in business and life, you're like, now I'm happy. Now I'm allowed to be happy because I reached milestone. Makes actually no sense, because the journey is the ride, right? Or how do you say it? And that makes sense to acknowledge it and work towards the happiness and envision it more emotionally. I like that. I have to train that. Because I'm similar. You have the pictures, you have the goals, goal reached, cool. And I got, over the last 10, 15 years since I'm doing this, I got very unemotional. Like, I got completely distracted, emotionally distracted from a lot of things. And actually, I just realized, I never shared this, I get emotionally distracted from things I didn't expect. Like, for example, I just got my baby, and what happened in me, I'm super happy. But what immediately happened, oh no, I need to do this. Well, next goal. I need to, in 10 years, I need to get her this. Like, I need to give her the best life possible. So my brain worked like, I need to work harder. It's like, I didn't really I acknowledged the moment, but this addiction to progressing kicked immediately in. And it's super weird.
I think it's a great motivator. Family, creating this foundation, leveling up, staying healthy as a father, all these things. And I still think it's super important to just be here and celebrate, because you never know what's happening next. And that was also a huge realization. We all have different motivators and drivers, and they change no matter if it's pain, fear, etc. But what happens to the joy? And that was also something I understood. I think it transformed over the last years, that I'm more here, more living in the moment, more trying to have joy and share it with people, because it's so super important. But it's still so cheap, as I said.
It is cheap. It is cheap. It's very cheap.
And if you focus on that, you are a better person, and you completely attract different kind of people with different kind of emotions.
Yeah.
And that's so important. And I love to have these friends around me that are super present, because I directly see like, oh, this guy is super happy now, but I wasn't able to answer him happy in WhatsApp because I'm working and I feel a little bit stressed right now. Yeah. And then it flips the switch. I'm like, oh shit, what did I learn? No, like, change it again, change it. There is no reason, because I work now because I want to work. Exactly. So why should it stress me?
Yeah. That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
And then he went through the 6 human needs. Yeah. And that was, for me, that was also really, really helpful to just understand why we are so different. I don't know if I get all 6 together. Certainty. It's this kind of,
you can look it up,
steadiness and security. Yeah. What most people want, no risks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like pretty for society, pretty normal, I would say. Certainty. Variety. It's like having a lot of changes, traveling, excitement, this and that. Significance. It's like status. It's like what you do in your work, just to have that significance. Love and relationships. Mm-hmm. It's also one of the biggest points for most people. So certainty and love and relationships, or community, however you want to call it. Growth. Yeah. And the last thing is celebration.
Celebration is a tough one.
And I looked at all of these and I was like, significance and growth. Yeah. Was completely obvious. Yeah. Certainty, I don't care. Variety, I automatically have it. By significance and what, and I don't need it like so crazy. There are people who need to change all the time, but what's missing?
Celebration.
And why is it missing? Because you don't have this joy. Yeah. Because of the peak state again, and it's all connected. It's all connected. And then I was like, oh wow, I need to celebrate much more, and I need to share that with the people I love, and then the life will again transform to much more positive version. And that was...
It's easy.
It's so easy.
It doesn't cost anything, as you say. It doesn't cost anything.
And then you understand, oh, that person has variety and love. Yeah. So maybe I need to try to listen better to understand this person's needs. Yeah. And that was also a big point, the human needs. And then he went from the human needs, he went to your beliefs. Yeah. Whatever, relationship, business, blah, blah. And then he transformed these needs into positive sentences. Let's say, like, you say, life is hard or what? And then you change this to, I love my life and I love to progress and solve challenges and problems. Yeah. Or whatever comes to me is right, and things like that. Or people are like, it's too late. It's also a belief. Like, I can't start. And then it's like, no, everything is perfectly right. Yeah. How it is right now. Because right now is right. Yeah. Because why should you change? You wouldn't know what you know right now.
Exactly.
Without that. And he went through all these beliefs, and then you can structure it a little bit. And that also helped me to transform them into positive beliefs, basically.
So very emotional, everything, right?
Crazy emotional. And he's repeating a lot of things. Yeah. You're always shouting it out, the same sentences. Right. And you're singing and you're cheering. And what he did with all that is, it's like not like a standard therapy session for half an hour or an hour. It's like you do that the whole day. And it's like you prime yourself. Yeah. It's like
programming.
It's like completely restructuring and reprogramming your brain and how you think of things. And what happened then, because after Cologne, we directly went to Austria to this business mastermind.
Yeah, completely different.
And we came there in peak state. We came there. We were one day later because of Tony Robbins. They already started. We came into that room. We were like, let's fucking go. And people were sitting in their chairs.
Oh my God.
And I look at Ollie and I'm like, hey man, we are wrong here. Like, we're completely wrong. We're in peak state. And they're like, when people watch a presentation, they're like falling asleep a little bit, and they are all like drinking their 10th coffee and business running okay. And we were like, what's the next thing?
Let's go.
What are we going to do?
Let's
go.
And
I was in peak state for so long. I had a few calls with people who had some issues on their side or real problems. And I was like, hey, I'm super sorry. I would love to understand your thing right now, but
you can't.
I can't because I just don't see any problems
Very
anymore.
Interesting, yeah.
And
You're
that was so
completely
crazy.
somewhere else, yeah.
And what happens when you come back and you're in that standard routine again? You lose that somehow. And also one sentence that got stuck in my mind: train your brain like a muscle.
Yeah.
I go to the gym so often. I do so much sport.
But why not the brain?
What is here?
Why not the brain?
I did meditate, I did breath work, I try to keep that routine up, but it's not on a daily basis.
Same for me.
So what does he do? He says, you do this gratefulness exercise every morning. Every morning, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because why should you train your body? Your mind is so much more important. You go to the gym for 2 hours and you don't take 15 minutes for that.
You brush your teeth every day, but you can't train your mind, right? It's absolutely stupid.
And that's the weapon you need for everything, for your business, for your friends, for everything.
Good,
So train your brain like a muscle. And what's also stuck in my mind related to that is we tell ourselves this story. Oh, I tried that, it didn't work. We tell ourselves this story. So do you know any movie, any computer game, any whatever, where things worked out on the first time? What do you do when you play computer? You play that level.
You die.
Again. What happens in life? I tried to create a business.
That didn't work. It's not meant for me. Exactly.
And that's all connected so much. And what I really try since then, I mean, it was clear all the time that we are responsible for how we feel and how we see things, because everything is neutral. And we say, oh, it's a problem or it's cool. But what happens instead is when I understand, oh, my energy level is decreasing, I really try to focus on the good things again, try to switch my mood. And that creates that frequency, and you automatically sort out people with a lower frequency.
I was going to say.
I don't want to hang out with this guy because he always drains my energy. Like, I want to hang out with these guys because they are super cool, you know?
It's more fun.
They lift me up, So why should I explain my life or whatever, what I think to all the people all the time if they don't want to change?
You can't change the mindset and mentality of the people, right? It's not on a short term at least.
And the craziest thing is when you come from that arena with 13 or 14,000 people that was super hyped, and then you go to that mastermind where people came after a long work week and they are like, let's learn something about business.
That was a big contradiction.
Completely different. Completely different.
Oh, that's good. So do you do the grateful exercises now every day?
I more try to implement it in a routine that is sustainable. Because that's big learning from myself. Like, just because there is a technique doesn't mean it's sustainable. So I try to bring it in a format that works for me. So I do the ice bath every morning. So I just go into the ice bath and then I think of these good things and I try to visualize it. And after the ice bath, I do the shower. So it's like 10, 15 minutes. And then it's somehow similar, but it's not exactly the same exercise.
It doesn't need to be the same exercise as long as it fits in your routine, right?
Yeah, perfectly fits for me.
Because one thing I learned, because I also did like the meditation, didn't really implement it in my daily life. Every now and then some breath work, because I learned from the 5 a.m. Club, you know, the book, Robin Sharma, 20 days, 20 days, 20 days. That's something that really stuck in my head. Like 20 days, you're pure motivated. If I'm going to start running tomorrow, like half marathon, I can do that 20 days, no problem. Next 20 days is going to be super tough, right? Because motivation lacks very quickly. So then you're like, so it's do or die. You're gonna implement. And last 20 days is really implement that in your daily routine. And I always, when I start new things, I take these 60 days and I try to envision that's what I need to do, right? And that's probably something that it works here.
Yeah, and then you automate it somehow. And then you're at a point where you just do it. It's like
exactly. You're not thinking. You're not thinking. It's like brushing your teeth again.
That's it. Exactly.
That's what so many people are constantly. I just had a call with clients yesterday who was like, how do you do this all the time? It's like, dude, routine. Like, oh, I'm not motivated. Like, I need to blah, build my business, scale, get new clients. I'm not, it's like, it's not motivation. I'm not motivated. You just have to create some habits, create out of the habits routines. Once you have a routine, you're consistent. If you're consistent in something, if you do it repetitively, you're gonna get better. Doesn't matter what you do, right? So it's easy. Just do it. It just needs to be in your daily life, yeah. But the mind work, the state of mind, the gratefulness, the happiness, it's really completely neglected.
Yeah,
Really
completely.
completely neglected. I remember I was once in psychotherapy a couple of years ago, and I was like very cautious about that because we had really rough time in business, blah, and all that stuff, some private stuff. So I was like, hey, go, it will help you. And I was like, I've never done that. Now I would recommend it to everyone. He also, that guy also repeatedly, gratefulness, envision what you have, write it down, journaling and all that stuff, which you then learn, right? Write down what you have, live in the moment. You get that so many times, but it's quite difficult to implement it for some reason, right? In your daily routine.
I think it all builds up on each other a little bit. So when I came to Cyprus, a few things were really hard initially, like because like I would say restarting the business and connecting to new people, and then maybe you don't attract or you don't find the right people initially. And then I said to myself, oh wow, I'm always like trying to solve a problem, but what do I already have? So I just created this thankful or gratefulness journal for myself, and it was super simple. I just had this book. I wanted to write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, and 1 good thing that I did on this day.
Yeah.
And man, it was so hard for me because I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I didn't see
you're blind.
I did so many good things, but I didn't see them. And then I started doing that for a few weeks, and then I already felt much better, and it was much more clear. And then at a point I stopped it. I don't know why, but felt like I don't need it anymore or what. And Tony Robbins just built on that. I think I would not have understand what he did with us if I wouldn't have had this exercise in the past.
Makes sense.
Because I already was on a high level, after that.
Do you think that Tony Robbins seminars, you have to be in a higher level already? Like for the, let's say...
I met people who came there for, I don't know, people from America came to Germany and they said, it's my 20th session here for the same event. He has different events. So I think it's like if you read a book a few times, you always get something new out of it. It depends on where you're at. And it's so much input that what I just explained to you can be completely different for somebody else.
Makes total sense.
So,
Super interesting.
And the most important thing for me was I was in a train for like 5 hours, and I took that time to go through all the notes to really challenge my results a little bit. Also, even with ChatGPT to say, hey, you are Tony now, blah, blah, blah. How would you handle this answer? Like, am I honest to myself? Really challenge me. And that helped me to get even more out of it, to get a better conclusion. Because once you're done with it, you don't repeat it all the time.
You have to use it and implement it. Otherwise, it's waste almost, right? Because you're gonna forget about the most important things. And since it's super emotions they also slow down very quickly, right? You have to have this emotional state to use it. It's powerful, super powerful, in a good and in a bad way, right? This is interesting. I need to do it too. I decided.
They do the same event next year.
Yeah? In Cologne again?
You can already buy the tickets.
Or you bought it 2 years in front, right?
So you can buy it now because then you have to go there. And that's what I basically do with all masterminds and all these sessions. I just try to buy them, and then it's locked in for like each year, because otherwise you're like, oh no, we are in a sprint now and I have to do this and that. And then you never do it. And I said to myself, hey, at least 2 to 3 masterminds per year, 1 or 2 things for personal development, and the price always needs to hurt a little bit.
Of course.
Then you always connect to people who already make more.
Yeah. If it's too cheap, then you will not get any benefit out of
Yes.
it, and you're forced to utilize it, right?
Yeah, because then you say like, oh, okay, I don't
paid.
want to skip that, and I already have to fly it.
Yeah,
You know?
so I need to do it now. That's a good point. I like that. Yeah, Tony Robbins. Yeah, and then how was the mastermind in Austria?
Really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is if we go to a mastermind where we have a lot of IT entrepreneurs, we better understand their questions because the service we have is really focused on IT and SaaS companies.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of beliefs who are out in this that are out in the space, and we also understand the problem much better because you face to face and you see, okay, what are they working on? And it's super interesting for us to also see where we're already really good at and we're not. And if you meet somebody who's in business for 15, 20 years, and we are doing that since like 3 years, and then you see, oh, wow, our sales process is much better, than you understand, hey, wow, we really did a good job. And that motivates you even more. That doesn't slow me down when I'm like, okay, I can rest now. I'm like, oh, wow, there is so much more potential because we already did that good. I'm super excited to push it even harder.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and they shared like everything. Like we had this conversation about LinkedIn growth and LinkedIn ads because I have like 37,000 followers, I guess, on LinkedIn. And we are doing mainly ads on LinkedIn. So that's our strategy, cool creatives and reels, things like that. So we explained a lot about that. Other people explained how they create their managed service offers and things like that. And so
that's super interesting because that's also pretty much the same target audience that we are working with.
And we even get customers out of it. Every event we go, people are like, hey, you're cool guys, I want to do it with you.
Perfect.
And that's also the value overlap. You have it in business, you have it with friends, you have it in family.
So, and do you think, and then that in that mastermind, do you think that especially like IT companies, especially around Germany, still utilize LinkedIn? Not at all.
Yeah,
exactly. How much? Like 5%?
They don't even see it.
Yeah, they don't see it. Right?
It's so crazy. And I had a similar session a few times already where I spoke about LinkedIn growth, why I think it's important. And the funny thing is, when I started LinkedIn, it was because I just started a business and I had no other possibility. There was no money for ads. I didn't know how to do it. To do proper marketing, it takes so much knowledge and time to set it up with Google and Bing and things. So I said, oh, what's the thing I can do? Okay, I can try LinkedIn. So just start posting. And the funny thing is, it's also out of your comfort zone. Because
definitely.
What will other people think about you? And then you see it because some people told me, hey, these guys are talking shit about you.
You get comments all the time.
Yes,
hate messages.
No matter if it's former colleagues or what,
Doesn't
you
matter.
get that information. And I'm like, okay, I don't care because I never cared what other people think. I said, okay, it's on my roadmap. I want to try it. I have to try it because I think it's a completely underestimated opportunity. At least when I started, I don't know, 2.5 years ago or what. 9 months later, I had 16,000 followers because I was just doing it continuously. And people were like...
Consistent.
Initially, they said like... What is he thinking? Like, is he the IT security
The same
guru,
story
you know?
all the time.
It's always the same thing. And then the same people say like, what did you do?
And then out of the sudden, like, I want to work with you.
Actually, yes. And it was so important because then I got recognized as a thought leader for information security and compliance. And it's still super valuable because all the people, they check like, okay, who is this guy on LinkedIn when they have the first call. And then they see, oh, he's 37,000 followers and he's posting on a daily. So there is something going on. And that's super helpful. And then I'm invited for webinars as a speaker to summits and all these things. And it's like
it builds
super
up.
Connected.
It's the easiest channel right now for businesses. Why I ask, because I also have, or I know, and I see it with our clients, nobody's using LinkedIn. And it's the first channel that we're building up and do basic outreach outbound. It's never got easier to get clients. I mean, 2-3 years ago when LinkedIn was still more open. It was even easier.
Yeah.
You can send out 500 outreach
Yeah.
messages per day. Now it's limited, but still easy.
And that's what people don't understand. When I saw LinkedIn, I just saw the opportunity because I was like, okay, I didn't see Instagram coming. I didn't see a few things before that, but I see this now. And people don't use it appropriately. But I know what to do. I just try it out and then I adjust because there is no perfect way.
No.
So I created my own framework and how to post and what to post about and how to structure it. And it was so simple. Just take your Sunday, block 1.5 hours, create the post, do it in the same format, create 4 to 5 posts with value, one personal, one fun post. That's it. Schedule it for the whole week, push it out. People are like, I need to content plan and this and that. No,
just do it.
Because it's social media. They forget what you wrote after 1 week. So you can even
recycle it.
These posts. And
2 weeks ago, you can post the same stuff. Nobody's going to realize it.
And then you can adjust a little bit on what worked. And what changed, end of last year, the algorithm changed. So I had 0 traction at a point, less impressions, etc. And then I was like, okay, that's a good point to focus on something else. So we started with the ad strategy. We used the
good
thought leader status and the posts I already had, and we transitioned to make it more scalable. And now we are more going towards video content, reels, etc. And I think that was so good that I used it when it still worked, because now if you start posting, it's still helpful. You get impressions. But I had posts going viral with 1 million views.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. Super crazy.
For LinkedIn, it's
super
a lot.
crazy.
It's fucking a lot.
And the profile and the channel grows super fast. Like
that's a lot.
I surpassed a few people that I had as role models when I started.
And then you did
LinkedIn.
a lot of right things. And do you think the algorithm changed because we also noticed that was, I don't know, end of last year or beginning of last
100%.
year? Is it still like conflicting, or did you figure it out?
I think it will never work as it did before. That's the thing. You can't go viral so easy. But I think what can go viral now is the video content. So you're also recommending doing more video content? Yeah. I would even recommend doing only video content. But for now, as I'm working remote, I don't have somebody to interview me. So I will more do some reels and we just try to implement them.
Do you do shorts and then LinkedIn to YouTube for long form or whatsoever?
That's on the roadmap.
We're doing that right now.
What we did is we really focused on the ads for Germany. We did a lot of A/B testing. We created
tough, right? On LinkedIn?
Awareness phase. I think it's the best ads you can do because we can niche down the ICP so good so that we completely know on who to target and how. And it's much easier than just like throwing it out on Google.
You can be super specific on LinkedIn.
Super specific. And the funny thing is, like, everybody knows me. We went to this mastermind and people are like, hey, I know this guy. Yeah, because you are our potential customer. And it's all the time. And I said to the agency, I said, make everybody know me. They either love me or hate me because we need
Doesn't
that
matter.
face.
Attention.
We need the attention. And that's super helpful, really. That's super helpful. They even sharing these posts, they're like, hey, I know you because people always share your posts in our Slack because it's really helpful for our stuff.
That's really good. I mean, that's the biggest accomplishment.
And that's super cool. And that's also how you connect, how you get into podcasts, how you get into webinars. And it's something I like because I never thought of it like I want to monetize it. I primarily started to share value.
Exactly.
And that's what actually happened.
But then that's the consequence, right? If you help, if you share value, the consequence is business is going to pick up if you want to do business with it. But eventually it will start. And I think a lot of people or businesses try to monetize it first and they forget 100%. The value point. I'm sharing, same like you say, I give everything away for free. First, at the beginning, I was like, I can't share that. I mean, people pay for this
I had
shit.
the same.
And these days, sometimes I do like really crazy. I put in a post, in a video, because I'm doing video, at some point, I'm just checking who's listening to the video.
Yeah.
Because at some point I'm saying, oh, by the way, if you're listening to the video, I'm taking you as a free mentee, or you come for free to the mastermind. All you need to do is text me now. It just proves who's going to watch that stuff, right? So super funny. Yeah.
I created a post where I shared like a security framework to audit yourself or others. And initially I thought, hey, I created that huge, excellent, I want to sell it for something. Because if 1,000 people want it, and then I was like, no, why should I make money out of something like that? Like, we focus on something completely different. I want to share it for free. I said, like, write ISO in the comments if you want it. And this post got, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of comments. So I wasn't able to check the comments to send this file to the people.
It was too many.
And they all sent me personal messages, and they are still doing it. And this post is like, I don't know, it was like half a year ago.
Really? Still coming in?
Yes, and they are still commenting ISO. And I'm like, I don't know. I think, and then I put it on SharePoint, and I put the link in the post, and I commented a few times like, please use the link in the post. I can't send you the framework. And then we took all these comments and we put them in some kind of automation to send an email to all the people with the document, you know. But I can't do that every month because that makes no sense.
That's a lot.
And people are still texting, hey Fabian, why didn't I get the framework? And I'm like, sorry, man, like this thing is too old. Like, I have to repost it again, I think.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely.
And that's sharing value.
That's
like
sharing value.
This thing also went viral.
Totally. I mean, if you're helping your target audience, giving the value, helping first, eventually they will come and want to work with you, right? It's not about the monetization at the beginning. If you're chasing that, it's not going to work.
100%.
Yeah. That's, I think, a lot. And still, businesses, especially in the IT, they're just not doing that. They have this mental block, I would say, that they don't see themselves being able to post, to message even. I mean, do really believe they really struggle. And what we see a lot of times is it's the mindset, and this you have to change this mindset, and it takes a long time, right? Because it's easy. I mean, just had a call with another client. They do a lot of cold calling. I said, well, perfect, keep that going. But how many cold calls can one sales rep do in a day? How many outbound messages can you send or have sent in LinkedIn? How much time does this take and this take? Just think about it. How many clients you can reach with one profile, with multiple profiles? It's higher volume. You will get more outcome, right? But if you say that once, it will not work. If you say it twice, you need to say it like, at least like for us, 20, 30 times until this until this click in the mind really is, okay, maybe I should really try to do that.
Yeah. We don't do any cold calling anymore. Because
we are not doing it
not
either.
Scalable.
Yeah.
So what I do when I talk about LinkedIn, and I had this presentation a few times, I really try to catch people by telling them that it's all ego. And I show these beliefs on a slide, and I'm like, I don't have time. What will others think of me? I'm not an expert, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, bullshit. Like, there is no excuse. It's the same like, why did you start your business? So just start doing it.
Exactly.
Like, okay, I don't know what to post. Okay, I try to unfuck all these beliefs. I don't know what to post about. And I say like, okay, what did you do this week? What customer problem did you solve?
Exactly.
What did you enjoy the most? What podcasts are you listening to? What is the coolest cybersecurity movie you know? Whatever.
So many.
And then they are like, oh wow, I did a lot of things. But I'm not a good writer. Okay, so tell me what you did. And then this person tells me, I did this and this and that. And then I said, okay, make a voice recording, put it in your iPhone notes, give it to ChatGPT, say that's my post structure.
It's so easy.
And every belief they have, I can give them a solution. And then I'm like, okay, what's stopping you? And then they're, okay, you create a post for tomorrow, 12:30. And then on the next day, that's what I do with all these people in the seminars. At 12:30, I stand up. I'm like, I have to interrupt you, sorry. Who created a post? And like 30 people are raising their hands slowly. Then I'm like, okay, rest of you don't want to make business.
Yeah.
And that's how I catch them all the
That's
time.
good. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, some people will love you for that, and some people
they
will hate you.
They will hate the shit out of you.
I don't care about the people who hate me, because I gave so much value by just pushing people, by catching them, because it's an ego thing.
It's an ego,
and it's a
100%.
belief thing.
Yeah.
And the first thing is when I have the seminar, some people really click and they start posting. And the second thing is on the next day they're like, fuck, you got me. You got me. Now I have to do it. Yeah.
It takes some time in the mind. Yeah, but it's ego. It's really ego. It's all the time ego, right?
Perfectionism, all these things.
So interesting. Yeah.
And I always say, I have all these things in the presentation, and I'm like, okay, I showed you what I do, and now I give you a list of super successful solopreneurs posting on LinkedIn. And then I'm like, okay, who do you listen to now? Yeah, you just explained it. No, I said, no, you didn't listen. Get the information from the expert. I have 37,000 followers. Like, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I'm just doing that on the side.
Yeah.
Like, follow these people.
Yeah.
Like, do you limit yourself already by saying, oh, Fabian is the expert? I said, no, like.
It's interesting,
what is your goal? Like, raise the bar, you know?
Well, that's mindset again.
And also,
That's all the problems that are created. It's all the mind. It's right. It's all the ego that is limiting, even believing that you can do that way. It's like what I hear so many times is like, since we're mentoring people, it's like I don't need a mentor. Like I'm good. Dude, are you fucking idiot? Like Elon Musk has mentors. Like, just let's go top down. It's like nobody invented any wheel here, right? So that's ego. That's pure ego. You need to break that open.
I think it's not only ego, it's also learnings from the past. Because if your parents are not entrepreneurial, or you didn't do that for, like, I don't know, since 10 years or what, you just need to understand it step by step. And everybody has a different pace for that. If you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would go to a mastermind, if I would pay for a coaching, if I would do a breath work, like whatever, I would say, what
it's
do
a
you
learning
want from
curve.
me? It's a learning curve. And then you see, oh, successful people are doing it. Successful people are going to Zen meditation, to take 2 weeks off, to Vipassana, to whatever. What's there? I don't have time to do that. Oh, I don't have time to and all these things. And Tony Robbins, people were like, I'm a little bit scared if you go there. Like, because how will you come back? Okay, what are you scared of? Are you scared of me changing or improving? Or are you scared of losing me because you don't go that way? You don't want to level up. No matter if it's friends, family, or what. It's when you start your business. It's when you do crazy things. It's when you do new things. When I started bodybuilding, like a decade or longer ago, I saw that some friends want to push me back, and that's the wrong people. I just want the people who are like, you can do that. Do it even better. Do even more.
But why do they do that?
Because they are afraid. They were like, hey, man, you never go out with a party anymore.
They want to hold you back because they don't want to go that same way, or they are afraid to go that way.
It's their own fears.
And their laziness.
Yes.
And their stubbornness.
Yes.
And they try to hold you on that same level. How many friends did you lose on the way?
I think of it in maybe, how can you say, lifespans or what, or it always changes. And sometimes some people, I wouldn't even say level up, because it's not that you're better or worse or what.
No, it's not a judgment.
You're just on a different road.
Exactly.
And sometimes people switch lanes.
Yeah.
And then you're connecting again.
Yeah, that's
because
possible.
You still have the same heart or the same values. That's why you connected in the past. But you have a different sense of how to live and what is valuable or not. So I think we never lose somebody. I think we always had somebody for a reason, and sometimes there is a chance to reconnect.
So lifespans.
Yes, I would say it's lifespans.
Very interesting.
And I'm still in touch with friends that I really have a connection from my heart, I would say, but we don't have so many topics anymore. So it's a really loose contact.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's similar how I feel, because ever since I'm in Cyprus, I think it was a good stress test, or however you want to call it, like who's gonna actually come visit you, and not like who will be on the beach in the villa and stuff. Like who's interested in what's going on, like. And I could really see some people who I really like thought they're gonna be my closest friends forever, really dropped out. I was like, but now I'm happy about it, because I can actually see, okay, these guys, I could really like, anything could happen. They have my back. I agree, like different roads. I would also not call it different levels, because that sounds a little bit like judgment. Of course, you have, like, if you're employed normally and you have your business, it's just a different world, and that's not better or worse. It's just very different, but still connect with them. But also, a lot of people are on different lanes now. That's also what I see.
And I don't blame anybody for that, because it really happens to me also. When I'm in my tunnel and I'm focusing on these things,
you're blurring out.
there is just no time to stay in touch. What I also learned, what is important for me, to create a routine for that.
Exactly.
So I just try to text my parents and people I really love and say, "Hey, Mom, I love you. Just wanted to let you know." Like, do that on a Sunday morning. Like, put it in your calendar.
I was gonna say, I have a blocker once a month.
Yes.
Socializing.
Yeah, and also like just randomly call them
From
when
a
you
car.
know they're doing breakfast at the weekend. I'm also doing breakfast. I just call it, and I try to keep it like that, because I think it's not possible if you have duties and responsibilities. You need to fit it in.
Yeah, it's too much.
And you need to schedule it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Block your calendar, like just a time frame where you really think, I need to just get in touch with them, see how it's going. You don't want anything, just say hello, pick up the call, pick up the phone, call them. I think it's very important as well. But if you have your business, if you're super structured, if you're like disciplined, you blur out your focus. You have to make time, otherwise what happens all the time is like no time, right? You read it or whatever, it's like I can't handle it.
So, and it's for the things that are important.
They're
for you.
super
and
important.
So you said, like, you're structured. Okay, so create these notes for things that are important for you, and think of how to handle them. No matter if it's your finances, your loved ones, etc.
You have to.
And then you have a framework for it.
You have to find time. You have to structure it. Otherwise, it's jumping from A to B all the time. It's the same in business. Structure your day.
And then you're always running behind the tasks.
Always, 24/7, 7 days a week. I mean, structure helps. Maybe some people are structured different. Some they don't need any list. They don't need any calendar. They just know what they're doing. I find that amazing. I can't do that. Like I'm a calendar guy. Like very structured, I would say.
I know people that work perfectly with or in chaos. I'm also not that type of person, but what I really learned is to not overstructure myself, because in the past I was the guy with a list for everything and stamps. And life always showed me different. Like,
doesn't work.
It never worked. No
work.
plan ever worked. So I'm like more, what are my values? And that helps me super easy to make decisions and focus. And what's the big picture? Does it somehow impact
the big picture? I find that very helpful.
And that's super easy too. Okay, this person, no. This thing, okay. Yesterday I would love to join Justin's session here, but I was just like, okay, I had a really long work day. I want to have some time off because of the podcast today. Does it help me? I would love to see the people, but I prefer to meet him face to face. Smaller circle. Okay, so I will skip it. And that's how you can make the decision.
Conscious decisions.
Conscious. Be conscious. Don't have the FOMO. And think if it helps your overall goal.
That's super interesting. Like what you said also, like, don't overstructure. I did the same. Like in the past, I planned everything. I like toilet, eating. Like I was on that level because I had different companies. I was really like, it took me, they were growing too fast and I was not there yet. And I remember that, and I got like into the burnout thing. That pushed me to the burnout a couple of years ago. I remember that being like super structured. Now it's like I like blockers, like 4 hours deep work, focus. You know what task is gonna be, like what's the big picture. I don't need to plan the actual I just need the time to do so, right? Same for family, same for sport or whatever, right? You need to block the time.
And the funny thing is what I learned also from business, some things just take 3 times longer than you think, and you plan them, and you can plan whatever you want. Like have these milestones, be able to adjust, be able to paralyze, and then also like in the evening just think of what do I need to do for this week or for tomorrow, because otherwise you will start the day completely chaotic, and everything that is on your desk will just be like, what's the priority? So Eisenhower helps me a lot. I'm always like, is it important? Just is it important? There is so many stuff that is urgent, but is it important? And the urgent stuff just gets on the list. And the funny thing is like 1 month later, I look at the list and it's super long, and I'm like, hey, checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. Because a lot of things just, they are solved by themselves, or they are just irrelevant at
They're
the
not
point.
important. They're just not important. You think in the moment they're important, but they're not. They're not. Like sometimes an email seems to be important. Half an hour later, distance yourself. What the hell, dude? This is not important. But you get stuck. You get soaked into this work. Yeah, but Eisenhower, I love it. It's what we give our clients as well. I still do that in stressful situations. I do Eisenhower, and I try to teach that all the time. Use the Eisenhower matrix. It's literally, I didn't invent that, man. It's Eisenhower. You need to know Eisenhower. It's easy. And they're like, it's a quadrant, right? Go and do it. Do it. Start. Right? It's like, it just gives you guidance. What's prior one right now? Urgent and important. All right. Well, I guess I have to do it right now, right? But it's not urgent and important. Well, maybe do it later. It's not urgent and not important. Well, solved.
There were 2 things I learned next to it, which are somehow connected. When I was on a vacation in Thailand, because of the different time zones, when I started working, nobody was disturbing me. No Teams, no email, no
that's
WhatsApp.
So nice,
And I got all my stuff done in like a super short amount of time. And I was like, okay, what am I doing now? Like I'm waiting for the first calls or for people. Like, and then I saw it so clearly, like, okay, just create that work environment to get that focus time. And I knew it, but it changed again. Because sometimes you get back to old habits. So, okay, what did I do in the past? And you just readjust.
So interesting.
And that was so cool. So people always like, I can't work from Bali. I can't work from Thailand because of my calls. Okay, do you really need these calls? And then I saw like, hey, cool. I just delegated everything. I wasn't in the calls because otherwise it will not work without me. And that was also a valuable lesson. And then if there's really something super important, I remember at 9 p.m. in Thailand, and I just was in a call with my earpods, and I was on this street market, and I was just listening. And 2 or 3 times I was using the chat to help to navigate to this call a little bit, but that's it. And it also worked. So
there's barely any problems happening like that actually need to be solved immediately, and they're so urgent, or that they cannot be delegated. Because that's also our mind. I think it's training, it's a learning, right? What are the things that you actually need to participate? Like if you build a business, if you build a team, you have to learn how to properly delegate, right? And to run, because if you're stuck doing all the things, well, you might as well stay a solopreneur and just do it yourself, right? And then why the extra stress? Like the companies we work with, usually also like small, medium-sized IT companies, let's say from 0 or 1 to 50 people, that's the sweet. They're doing all daily meetings, the scrums, the CEOs, they're making 5-6 million, but they're sitting 80% of their time still in the operative work. It's like, why are you actually having the company?
And the cool thing is, when customers come to us, I also see that, especially if it's IT service providers. A lot of C-levels are still doing operational work.
Of course.
Also because they like it. And then I'm like, hey, why don't you hire a CEO for that? Like, I think your business will run better if you have somebody who only knows how to build processes and manage it. And why don't you focus on the vision? Because if you are a techie, you would also love to try out new stuff.
Exactly,
and I think you should do the vision and then a little bit of the strategy and not like try to understand the customer problem. You can still get like once a month into the calls to see what's going on, and you need to be a little bit, you need to understand the customer.
Stay connected, but it's not a daily routine. This is like super interesting because same story. When I had my companies, IT consulting companies, we grew over the years to 100 people. But one of like the biggest switches and transition into mindset, and obviously also like in business, was getting out of the operative business and then building the management hierarchy underneath. I remember one of my mentors back then told me we were about to cross the 50 people border. I said, okay, do you know what you do now? I said, what? We want to grow to 100. We want to get to 8 figures and higher. It's like you need to let go almost the whole team that you built the company with. I said, what the fuck? They're my most loyal people. And I was like, nah, I will not do that. Like, they built the company with me. I said, if you want company 2.0, you need to let them go because they're not going to give you the growth you need.
I completely get that. I completely get that.
How difficult.
You need a different kind of people for different stages of your company. And you need to think of, okay, what kind of company do I want to have? Do you want that?
You need to know that, right? And a lot of, or most entrepreneurs, especially in the IT, I have a feeling they don't know. And that it's not a judgment, it's difficult to know because how does most IT companies run? You do projects as a freelancer, then you build your first small team.
Exactly.
Then you have 10 people, you're still doing the projects. Then you don't really know what you're doing anymore. It's just obvious. It was the same with me. It's like, fuck, I have like 10 people now. Like, how do I get to the next stage, right? It's like it's the same story every time, but it's
Stefan Merath, in my opinion, one of the best German coaches for business people. He tells the story of the ape. So your employees, they have a topic and they give you that ape. And then the ape is on your shoulder. And you need to give it back ASAP. So don't even think of it. So just ask the right question, give it back. How would you think you solve it? See you tomorrow, explain it to me.
But that's true. That's true. Like, how would you solve it? That's the best question.
And then he says, like, create that border. The assistant that sits in front of your office. So if somebody wants to walk in to speak to the boss, she's like, okay, what do you need? And then she also gives the ape back. And it's the same for your mailbox. Somebody to check the mails and just give you the mails that are really important.
It's so true. That's so true.
And that's also, I think this analogy is really, really good.
Give back the ape, but it makes total sense because all the questions usually, if you don't watch out, you start answering and solving the problems, and you get soaked in, and you will not do your job anymore. That's also literally what all the time happened. Remember when we had offices, physical offices, was the worst back then because your door is open, right? People just walk in. It's like, I can't work. Like, I literally can't work. So then also you had your assistant, right? But then what happens exactly what you said. The assistant gives you the ape. Like,
you need to give her the SOPs.
Like, what the hell? You're sitting there. It's like, no, I have more before. So I was like, okay, then we also had to figure out more responsibility. Processes, responsibilities, like accountability for the teams, for the services, for the products. I mean, there's a solution to that. But if you start your business as a freelancer, then build your first team, you're so soaked into the IT stuff. We like as IT guys, you haven't learned the other things. Like you haven't, right?
I think it's also curiosity.
Yeah.
Because when I started, I wanted to do so many things. I was so curious about all the stuff. And then you're like, okay, yeah, but that doesn't bring me money and that's not scalable.
Yeah.
And then you need to think of, okay, what do I want to do? Okay, it's again like the Tony Robbins thing or whatever. What is the vision? What is the overall picture?
Yeah.
And also Stefan Mira does that. He creates a bottleneck chart, let's say it like that in English.
That's cool. Yeah.
So, okay, where am I? What's going up? Where do I want to go? And then I created that chart and I saw like, okay, I'm the bottleneck.
Yeah.
And why? Because I love to teach people and I wanted to build up a young team to be a role model again, to share values, to give them the chance to grow into these roles. And then I saw it can't work because the topic is too complex and I have too much stuff on my desk in parallel. Okay, I need seniors. So that was so obvious. And I would recommend that to everybody. Like, get the right people, no matter what they cost, because they will accelerate everything 10 times faster. And that's also one of the solutions. If you start, you need to not start with the cheapest people because you're thinking, okay, I can educate them, blah, blah, blah.
No,
especially nowadays, a lot of stuff is going on remote. People even don't know how to structure the day and work remote. They think they are productive if they read the Teams chats and the emails in the first 3 hours, and then they're already brain fried. No, you need somebody who has a plan, who knows what's really important and who can push topics. And then you can get the juniors and they teach them. That's much better. But what's the bottleneck initially? Your knowledge and money. It's always the same.
And time. The time that you're using. 100%. But that also referring back to this ego mindset, you know, like, because that's also what I see, or back also with me, it's like you don't realize yet that you're the bottleneck right now to scale the business further, right? Because if you want to stay in the projects, on every project, it's like, how? It's literally, and then I can train the people. It's the same, like exactly what happened to us in the first business.
And then my mind really changed and I said like, okay, I want to hire people who are much better auditors, better compliance officers, better security guys, because that just makes sense for me. Like, and if we don't have them, I want you to be better. And I tell everybody in our team this story. I want you to be better than me. Like, I want you to bring you to that level because that's not the thing I should do. And I think that's also cool because then you can take this hero story. It doesn't help your people if you talk about yourself. Oh, I solved this problem. That's how I do it. It helps people if you say, hey, this guy in our team did this and that, and then they look up to them, and then they think, oh, cool, this was shared. I also want to be in that channel. So I think the hero story is super important to motivate the people and to bring them to a point. You just need to understand, like, what's their capacity and what are their capabilities, and really have them in this growth curve. Not too much, not too less. If it's too less, they will not perform. If it's too much, they will run into that wall. That's what you need to handle all the time.
It's, I mean, at some point, it's really just guiding the people, right? That's the biggest challenge. I remember with the previous businesses, it was basically like kindergarten on a high level. It's like really just managing the teams. And at some point, like after making this transition from really being completely out of the operative business, it was just problems between people that you were solving. Like I was solving, and it's like, it was really funny when I realized that, it's like, I haven't had the problem that actually is from business, like IT related. I don't even know when there was the last, it's just like, that happened here. And it's so funny, right? Because it's completely different level of problems that you have.
It's really how the job transitions. And I always say to our consultants, you're the good cops, I'm the bad cop. I manage the engagements and I just get into the calls if we need to push the deadline, communicate risks or bring things forward. Because you as a consultant, you should always be, with your communication style, how do I say it, a little bit under the customer, like a little bit submissive, not a lot, but just a little bit. Why? Because no matter how much you know, don't utilize your ego in these calls. I'm the expert, and that's why we do. No, you have a great solution. Just think of this and that, and I can suggest. I think it will bring you forward too, because blah, blah. And I'm the guy with the hammer. I come in if it's like, hey,
the escalation.
Let's speak on eye level. It's pure bullshit what you're doing because you will fail, and we can hit this deadline. Just let's do it like this and that. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a different level.
That's also important that you don't lose your face in front of a customer as a consultant. And you're still the nice guy, enabling them.
You're not undermining your guys. That's it's a nice point. I like that communication, because especially in the IT, there's a lot of ego, especially on the like everybody's an expert and everybody knows everything. We all know that. But talking correctly to the client is not like, I'm the expert, we're going to do it like that. It's not going to work, right? No. If you guide the client to make him or her understand why it might be a good solution, that's such a thin line of communication. It's very interesting, though. Yeah. I think you see that a lot when I'm now remembering back making like bigger projects with the big 4, big 5 companies versus, let's say, the ordinary small and medium-sized companies. I think the big 4 mastered this communication level very well when I was remembering, because I always at the beginning had the feeling of, they're communicating very weirdly. Why not go strict to the point, right? It's like, it's obvious the solution. But after a couple of years, I realized exactly what you were saying. It's like, especially like the partner guys from KPMGs or whatever. Like I also, like, first, they're talking bullshit. Why do you not come straight to the point? We're wasting time, we're wasting money. But then it's the art of communication. They master is like making them to understand it a little bit from a different perspective. That's exactly what happened there.
Okay, that's super interesting, because with all the big consulting companies, no matter big 4 or what, I feel like they didn't master the communication, didn't come to the point. We are super straight, and I speak to people like I speak to you right now. So really, I follow this kind of integrity and being authentic. So that's super important for us. We call people by their names in the first call. We don't words check it.
No.
So we are just how we are, from founder to founder, etc. And that's also what we have with our team. But how should I say? We are still trying to do no bullshit, but in a nice way. I feel like that's super important. And I see that with our hiring process now. I think that's a good example.
You have 16 personalities. Are you using like a personality test?
Yeah. But I always explain the disc model to the people, because I think it's easier for them to understand who's on the other side, especially if it's a short call, etc. So that helps them already. Oh, is this person red, yellow, or green? Do I need to be more supportive or direct? And that's also why in some calls, if I see, that C-level is super red, I just tell them, no, that's completely wrong. Do it like this. And then you've got them. So you need to adjust. It's not black and white again. But what I see with our hiring is you can filter out people so well by just having a standardized task and sending it to them. Like, we get people, if you check their CV, the application, they're like, wow, that's a perfect match. EY, KPMG, Big 4, 10, 15 years compliance auditor, this and that project. Then also roll in a smaller business. So I think like, oh, he has the mindset. Then I sent them the task, and the people are like, why is the task in English? I don't think I can do that in 2 hours, because I say, hey, maximum take 2 hours. I have a few questions on that, blah, blah. And I'm like, who am I talking to? Like, you are a consultant. Like, don't tell me the challenge or the problem. Just tell me, hey, I went through it. I'm super thrilled. Can we talk tomorrow? Like, not, I can't finish it this week. Oh,
interesting.
You want that job? Like, and sometimes if you call them and I say like, hey, you're only in the loop because my co-founder spoke so high about you. And I would already have sorted you out just based on your email and how you're like whining around or what. And they're like, oh, but yeah, I really, before I tell a customer something, I really want to understand that topic in depth and blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to explain it to me. Like, just solve it. No matter if you use Google, ChatGPT, or if you give me a pragmatic approach. Our customers are scale-ups, SaaS companies. We don't work in enterprises. We don't need these political discussions. And you're always better as a customer. You know a lot more.
Of course, that's why you're paid.
Don't lose yourself in perfectionism. Put away your ego. You're an enabler. And even if you don't know it now, say, I would do it like this and that, but give me some time to double check it and research it.
Easy.
And I'm fine with that. So why is a person with 20 years of experience in the field not able to do that? Because they're like over-educated and all the projects they did were in
too high level,
too big enterprise field or what. So I say, like, I really enjoy if we get applicants who have no clue and they create like super cool solutions for these tasks. A guy showed me like what he built in Notion and was super creative, even if it was formally not 100% correct.
Doesn't matter.
And then I asked him like, okay, this was not 2 hours. And he said, no, it took me a whole day. And I'm like, did you enjoy it? I loved it. And I say, okay, I tell you what's wrong, this and that. And he's like, okay, appreciate your feedback. 5 hours later, he sends me an email and says, hey, based on your feedback, I would solve it like this. What do the other guys do? No email, nothing. So
easy.
You can choose. Like, do you take the person who is good on paper, or do you take the person who has the skill set and just needs to get the expertise?
Because you can teach the expertise, right?
Yes.
But you cannot teach the, what's the right word? The mentality.
You can't change the mentality.
The problem I'm solving and
that's it.
Practical things,
that's
right?
It. And what I also learned, like, don't hire because of a bottleneck. Oh, I don't get something better than this person. Maybe it's still a right fit if they change. No. My intuition is so good, and your gut feeling.
The gut feeling is always right.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. And I had to learn that the hard way with a few hirings. You know, like, I give that person a chance. Maybe they adapt. Maybe they change.
No, unfortunately not.
It does not happen.
I don't know why.
Because your gut feeling is based on your experiences. So it's super appropriate.
It must be. The gut feeling is such a good compass.
Yes.
Like, it's weird because it cannot be scientifically like proven.
Yes.
But it's always right.
Okay, one thing to add: if you don't act out of fear or uncertainty, if it's really experience and goal based, that's what you just need to challenge yourself.
It's based. I agree to that. You need to be able to get that gut feeling based on experience, because just starting tomorrow, I cannot trust my gut feeling yet. But you have to know that. You have to be aware of that, right? But at some point, then you can really trust your gut feelings. Because I remember I made hirings based on data, on KPI, versus gut feeling, right? And gut feeling always won. And took me, I shared the story away, it took me to German courts against employees and everything. I obviously lost big time. Because my gut feeling was right. I shouldn't have hired him. But based on, some discussions with the team and data, it always comes back. So these days, if clients ask me, should I hire him, her, should I hire this team? I say, of course, we check some data, but what does your gut feeling tell you at the end of the week? That's the decision. It's right.
And it's easy to just look at the first 2 or 4 weeks, and then you need to make a decision. Because people will have their best performance in 2 or 4 weeks.
They will not get better.
And then it will decrease. Because that's when you're most motivated.
Exactly.
And I understand it with the test task. I understand it sometimes because you want to do it correct and you're a little bit nervous, etc. Also with the first call, if you don't have the best performance, I just think, okay, how was I at that point? If I look back and I say, okay, I was nervous. Sometimes I didn't know what to answer, etc. So that's the point where you can give them a chance. But if you have it 2, 3, 4 times, then my gut feeling was right. And so I went a little bit away from like, we need that perfect match to more like, oh, let's try out 2 people and see who performs better.
Yeah.
Because everything else is also so much, you're wasting time, basically.
Yeah.
If you have 2 people on the same...
And you train that they are trained at the same time. It's one effort, so to say, right?
And what I also really like, no matter if it's a salesperson or consultant, they challenge themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's competition.
Otherwise, they're like, I have the job.
Yeah.
They will not throw me out.
In
Why
sales.
should they throw me out?
I'm too important now. I got it. Especially in sales, that used to be working very good. I remember we made the experiment once that one of the biggest challenges was building a sales team back in the consulting business, like a real sales team. Because at the end, that was the main area where I was still involved after like transitioning out of the operative business and, building the department. I had so many wrong sales guys. And then I was like, okay, we got a guy from IBM here, 15, 20 years sales, 100 bazillion euros revenue made. Shit, I got already the gut feeling it's not going to work, but she's good. Versus a junior rep. I was like, let's make a competition. Who's good? And obviously the outcome, the junior rep demolished. He won by, I had trained both equal way.
Same way,
The exact equal. It was digitalized. I gave them the same blocking, helping sessions. He couldn't transfer the knowledge he had with over 20 years of sales experience from corporates into a small business. And the junior rep just closed way more. And that's so interesting. It was also like an aha effect. It was like, oh man, go with the younger, the motivated, less experienced guy. You can still form them in the right way. It's like instead of getting the very, very like maybe over-experienced guys.
Over-educated, over-experienced, over-complicated. A lot of things. I give them a chance. I call them and say, hey, your answer is bullshit. Our customers think different. Think of this and this and that. How would you adjust it? And if they again start complaining or explaining, you're out. You can't solve this problem in the future because it's your mentality. You will not change.
Because they cannot admit that they might be wrong in some points.
Like they don't want to make that fault. And I say do it, because if we don't have an SOP for it, or I didn't give you an answer on it, it's my fault. So I don't care if something goes wrong or what, because we just learn from that. And in some calls, I'm still involved because it just makes sense, and then I can help them out. And that's also what colleagues really appreciate in that case. And then I say, oh, I learned from that because I just prepared it till that point, and then you took over, and that's completely fine.
Yeah, definitely. It helps. It's such a small bridge between like being out of the operative side and still being in touch with the business itself. Like it's a small line sometimes. Like I also feel like you can't distance yourself. I mean, still in a smaller, medium-sized business, you want to or should have this touch to the customers as well, but it doesn't mean you interact with them on a daily, on a weekly basis. Like as you said at the beginning, these escalation phases, it's also something that helped us grow further. First is putting the teams, the team members or the teams or the managers then into responsibility and really making them understand that if you run a team, if you're a team manager or whatsoever, you're responsible for this. So it's like, because you also need to change their mentality. What we did is the same. I hired external managers, not in the sense of hired from outside, more experienced, thought they are good managers, put them in the company, never worked. No, never ever. So then understood, okay, I need to create my own managers. So some started as a student, making them junior, senior consultants, then team leads, then managers, and that worked. But it's such a transition you make with them, right?
It's not easy to find the perfect fit. And what really works for me is to think of what are our core values, and I think of it like, I don't drink, so I can't speak about that, but would I go to dinner with you and enjoy it? And the same for our customers. And that's the question I ask everybody. And then I say like, do you want to work with this customer?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Do
Yeah.
you want to sit here in the evening with this team to just have a conversation?
Yeah.
And that's super easy. And if I see somebody who is good in sports, ambitious, no matter if it's Ironman training or whatever, I know they have the discipline to do the work.
Yeah.
And these were the people who were great consultants, who got like great expertise, and who made the biggest jump in terms of personality development.
Yeah.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
Because you lead by example, and they follow and they ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And they have this kind of ambition that they can utilize to grow within the team.
Yeah, to change and grow, right?
Yeah. And they are super loyal because out of a situative leadership style, they gain most out of this. Like no micromanagement, and they don't care about doing something wrong because they just see the overall goal.
Yeah.
And that's also ego thing. Like, am I able to do something without knowing if it's 100% right?
Yeah, definitely.
Just try to find a solution and then adapt and learn out of your fault.
Yeah.
Don't do it like 3-4 times.
I think in the IT that we are in, I would say 99% of the cases, you never know exactly, especially very complex projects. And so that's part of it. Like you have to like admit to yourself, like, I might not know the answer now, but I will know it tomorrow or next week. And I need to run with it, and I need to sell it too, because it's part of being a consultant as well. It's not lying. I know I will solve it. I don't need to know it exactly now, but I'll give you the guidance and the direction. We'll solve it together.
And that's why I think I created a LinkedIn post about that, like what gym and running taught me about business and also about personal development. And that's why I really like having supportive people as applicants. And I created a post about 10 learnings. I don't know if I get all out of my mind, but one of them was like challenge your own beliefs. Because I was always in bodybuilding since more than a decade. Since I was in the army, I started training, and I never thought like I can compete because I thought I'm too old. Because you saw all these people on social media and they were 19, 20 and they looked like crazy, but it was only in picture. I didn't know that. And then people always came to me and said, hey, you should compete. And I'm like, no, I'm just a regular guy. I just love training, you know? And then I went to like a meetup event where all these influencers came together and people were looking at me and I'm like, you don't look so big. I thought you're bigger or more shredded or what. And then there was a photo shooting and I won that photo shooting. And so I got tickets for a competition in 4 or 6 weeks. So I had 6 weeks of dieting and then I went to the competition and placed second.
Oh, nice.
But for more than 4 or 5 years since I got these accomplishments, I was like, no, I can't compete because of this and that. And to challenge this belief, that's super important. And I always had the belief of, I'm a bad runner. Because like when I remember a young kid at school, I was dying at these Olympic school games when we ran around the football place or the soccer place. I was like, oh, I can't. and I said, I can't because it's my genes. And the only cardio I did was in prep on the stepper to just raise the calories a little bit. And then I came back this year from South Africa and I didn't feel fit. I gained a little bit of weight. I was a little bit bulking. And what I always do is I'm on a walking pad when we are in calls, and especially in sales calls, to just get some steps in, not sit all day. And my business partner said, hey, I really hear you breathing. I was like, oh man, I need to take a look at that. Because I was like just too heavy. And everything also felt like, that's hard for me, these movements. So I said to myself, hey, I want to be super fit. That's my goal for 2024. I don't only want to look fit, because that's what I always did because of bodybuilding, but I want to feel fit. I start running. And it killed me. And I said, no, I want to do that because I want to challenge that belief. I'm a bad runner. And 4 months later, I ran my first half marathon.
That's a lot.
And I even had a break in between because of COVID and stuff. So I think that's the same with business. Challenge your belief. I'm bad in hiring. I don't find the right people.
I'm bad at sales.
All excuses.
It's all excuses.
And what comes into that? repetition.
Yeah.
You only get better by doing things repeated.
Consistency,
Yes.
repetition.
Repeat.
Exactly.
And then the next thing you learn from sports, and you can adapt it, like you have to fail.
Yeah.
What do you do with your last reps?
Yeah.
Go into failure.
You struggle a
and
lot.
that's where you grow.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so simple how you can transition from sport into business with all these learning.
Yeah.
Who is around you? You smoking, you're going out, No, why are you a bad runner? Because you don't know anybody who's running. And you don't know a bodybuilder who's running.
It's just the environment.
Connect to some people who are good in running, and it will be super easy.
Yeah.
Because you get a few hints and they are so valuable that you know what to do.
Same on the business side. If you hang out with successful entrepreneurs, what's going to happen?
And same for your happiness. If you hang out with all these people who are complaining and life sucks, everything will suck. It will drain your energy. Maybe Germans sometimes. And also that's a belief. All Germans,
it's not true,
all Germans have the wrong mindset and are narrow-minded. I come back to Germany and I always see it. But if I'm like, hey, there are people who are really cool,
I
will attract them. I sit next to them in the train and we have a great conversation.
It's interesting.
But if I'm like, nobody will talk to me who has good energy. And there are so many learnings out of that. Also, like we said initially, make it fit. Like you need to create a sustainable routine, not just, that's how I can do it. People always asked me in the past, like, how can you not skip a session? And how do you... It's so easy because my gym bag is packed in the evening. And I just take it, put it in my car, and I go there after work. Okay, it changed with the self-employment, but that's how I did it. So I never skip a session because I directly drive to the gym after work.
It's a routine.
And people always go home and take a break, and then they
you find excuses. You find excuses. It's
same with the meals. If you prep it, you can fail. If you don't prep it, you need to see what you're doing.
It's planning. It's structure again. It's routine. It gives you stability in your daily agenda or your weekly agenda, right? It's easy to solve, right? It's just it's a good question. How do you never skip a session? It's like I had just we talked about it before. Another client yesterday on a live call was asking how do you get up every morning? Like, because I get up at 5. Did that since I read that damn book. And do I like it? Absolutely not. Especially these days when I don't sleep because of our daughter, I still do it. I was thinking about when I got my daughter. It's like, how do I actually cope with my routine? I was briefly thinking, like, should I actually change it? Because honestly, I will not have enough sleep. It's like, no, it's gonna be an excuse. It doesn't matter how the night. I'll get up at 5. I run with my dogs on the beach. I'll go to the gym. I'll be back at 7:30, 8. Let's see. It's 4 weeks in, I haven't skipped one session. So it's like, and then that's the same. Like, how do you just do it? It's a routine.
100%.
Like, if you want to find distractions or excuses, you find a lot, right? You find a lot, but my God, just don't overthink. It's just like it's overthinking. What if? And I could, and I was like, just do it.
I had the same with the ice bath. So the funny thing is, like, I thought I'm a bored guy when I woke up at 6 and I'm like, I go to the gym in the morning and that's the first thing I do. But in the end, that was my thing. Like, that was my comfort zone. That's what I enjoyed. I woke up so excited because I knew I can go to the gym in the morning, So I said, okay, there's something wrong. Because also after that, I have my breakfast. I just check my phone and I'm already a little bit pre-exhausted, and then I start working. So my day starts super good. Okay. And then what do I need to change to be more focused for the first task, for the big things in the morning? Okay, eat the frog again. In the evening, I need to think of what is the big thing for tomorrow with most leverage. Write it down, do this. Okay, but I still want to create a more healthy routine. What can I try out? I got sick pretty often, and I like this idea of trying out the ice bath. So I said, okay, I put that on my roof, and I go in there for 5 minutes, 4 degrees, and that's what I do in the morning. And it's like you said, do I like it? No. Do I like it after 1 or 2 months? No. Does it suck? Every morning. Is the first minute getting better? No, the first minute is always the worst. After it, nothing hits me that day because I did this shitty thing in the morning. And one of the colleagues said, if you go into the ice bath, you are a loser. Come on, like it's black and white. If you do this and that, you're a loser. If you don't try this,
there's no right or wrong. You have to find. And of course, if you go into an ice bath and not utilize it, it's not going to bring you any. You can also get up at 5 and do absolutely nothing. It's not going to make you successful.
And I still don't know if it has any value for me from a health perspective or whatever.
Discussable.
But I know I already had a crazy dopamine rush a few times.
Then you got it.
And I also know do hard shit and life gets easy. And I didn't do hard shit when I went to the gym in the morning because that's what I enjoy a lot. So I go in the ice bath, I do my deep work, and then I go to the gym. And I was always like, I can't go in the gym at 9:30 because that's when I should work and have my class. Why? Like,
that's so. There's no written rule about it. It's just a habit then.
And
right?
So you can change it all the time based on where you want to move. And I think that's also stay flexible. Routines are good. Routines are super important.
You cannot stagnate. They can make you stagnate.
And also my business partner told me that I feel sometimes you want to reach this 110% in what you do. And you're so into it that it makes everything else harder for you. And that really stuck in my mind since that. And he's right somehow. Like routines brought me where I need to go, but they playing on a high level in all these different areas sometimes is not possible, and you need to take a step back.
Routine need to change. You need to be able also to break up. It's very difficult.
It's super difficult
because
to unlearn
to unlearn
experiences and then look at them super neutral and
they might not help today anymore. They might have helped the years before, but maybe today they're not working for you, and then you end up working for the routine. Right?
100%. And that's why I love having a vacation once per year, 2 months somewhere totally different time zone, and these travels in between. Being here or there for 2 or 3 weeks to break up. Then when you come back, you value all these things you have, but you always got some of these new nuggets. Okay, and you I can implement this and that. And I met that guy who does it in a different way. And
you have to get these.
I got a lot out of that. No matter if it was Thailand, training in the morning, so I switched my routine to train in the morning, having less calls, this and that. It always happens again and again and again.
That you need to. It simply gets you out of the comfort zone. I think if once you hit a comfort zone, you'd never realize when you hit the comfort zone. Everything might be working well. But you're in a comfort zone. I totally relate to what you said when you said I always look fit, but I didn't feel like you have this kind of inner feeling that it's too easy. Right, it's too easy, so I need to change something. It feels, if it's too easy, like something is wrong. Right,
break the vicious circle.
It can be very addictive always to get this. It's probably good and bad, but
it's the same like with everything.
Too much of everything is too bad.
It's the human needs, variety. Some people always need to change. But they will never create something sustainable. And these people with the variety, their hardest part is community and love. That's what I see. I don't have these deep connections to people, or I only have a connection to one person. Because you always need to change, and you always think, what are my benefits from that? But what can you give? Why don't you have so many close friends? Because you often ask for something, but maybe you don't give. Am I a taker or am I a giver? Do I give without thinking of any benefits or not?
Very difficult question.
It's also for the business. And that's why I think that's also the thing we had. Who are the people around you? sports side, transition it to business side. And what are your values? If you know your values, you know where to move. Do you want to be a good father, play with your kid, stay healthy? You know what to do. It's so easy. If you say money can solve all the problems, I don't think so from a health perspective. No. Will you throw the ball in 20 years or not? Will you go out and play with them or not?
And everybody knows the more money you make, the new problems you have.
No matter what you do, the problem you have to solve will always occur. And it will always be bigger.
It's so much bigger every time.
That's also something to realize. Oh, I am on that level right now.
No problem.
Finally.
Right? And
then it comes in.
And then it hits you really hard.
In your face. And you're like, oh shit, I never had that. And then you just have to look back. What problems did you solve in the past? How big do they look now?
They're small.
And then you will understand, oh, the universe is challenging me, no matter how crazy it sounds, but you need to solve this thing to go on a new level. Emotional state, business, friends, finance, no matter what. You have it all, you lose it all. What's quick. The next thing?
But that comes back to the point that you said at the very beginning, state of happiness, state of gratefulness, because it actually shows no matter where you are, you're never at the goal where you might want to be, right? Because you want to always achieve more, whatever achieving is, doesn't matter. Personal achievement, business achievement. But if you don't cherish the moment in which you are, it's such a crucial point. I cannot say of myself that I do that. Sometimes, and I think that's something that I will take from today, is really start a routine, because sometimes you really forget. What I realized after now, 4 years in Cyprus, I forget sometimes, in the hassle of everything, where the heck am I living? It's it's awesome, right? It's you have a villa at the beach, you have everything you ever wanted, kids, but you forget about that. That looking back 10, 15 years, what was on the checklist? House on the beach, living on an island, all this kind of stuff. Why don't you appreciate it? Why do you forget appreciating it? It's such a crucial exercise.
Two things I want to add, but I want to come back to the problem thing before we finish that topic. It's also important, even if you know the problems will be bigger, don't create a belief out of that. All the things that will come will be bigger problems, because that's also wrong. You more need to be aware that it can happen, and then you just don't see it as a problem, but more be curious and try to solve it. Because otherwise you will attract these problems. If you say, oh, everything will happen, will just be bigger problems. No. Don't see it like that. Just understand that if you want to level up, it can be the case that you have to solve a bigger problem. I think that's super important. Coming back to what you just said with the thankfulness and gratefulness for what you have right now. I created a vision board in 2021. It was my background for my laptop before I changed my computer to a Mac. And I found that 3 or 4 months ago, because I forgot about it.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I looked at it and I'm like, what the fuck? Checkbox.
That's pretty cool,
I created that picture and I nearly have 90% of it right now, no matter if it's business side or your personal side. Crazy. There was Dubai, Burj Khalifa. I was there in February. There was that house with a pool. I'm living there right now. There was a convertible. I'm driving it right now. There was a watch. I have it right now. And also for all the other things. Creating that team, following a vision, changing my lifestyle to a more healthy one. Everything was outlined there, even numbers. And we hit these numbers. That's so crazy. And that's also something I learned from the gym. Before my first competition, I visualized on how I want to look. I always wanted to have a wide frame, but a smaller waist, and that more aesthetic look. And I visualized that so hard, and somehow I grew into that version.
The visualization is such a strong tool.
And people are always like, how are you so motivated? No, I'm not motivated.
No.
I have the vision, the vision drives my routine, and then everything is just discipline.
It's fueled.
And that's so easy.
Yeah.
That's the simple thing.
Yeah.
Create that picture, like Tony said, the best thing you can think of, then you move.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, you're not motivated. Your motivation lacks off, as we said so many times. You need to have something that fuels you, that drives you. Like same gym, business, even private life. I can't stagnation. If you remain the same, I don't think that the human mind or body is meant to be like that. Like, and this visualization can really fuel you. It's like when it comes to gym, I pretty much had the same experience. I remember I also did that a couple of years ago. Went for the first competition because all I wanted to do is I wanted to have this experience of, I would even say, torturing myself for a pretty long time, and then this really intense couple of weeks before with watering and salt. I just wanted to do that to prove to myself. And then I said, you know what? I'm never going to do that again. It was pretty rough, but I wanted to do that.
I did it 6 times.
Six times? No,
I got stuck in it a little bit, and it taught me so much about myself, because
how you function in your mind.
Nobody can understand it from the outside.
No.
My grandma wants to give me that cake. Hey, why can't you come here for dinner with us? This and that. And for me, it was like the last 6 weeks before competition, like being a monk in a monastery, saying no to everything, because there is a lot of stuff going on here, and you're at your limit because you're completely dehydrated, lowest body fat. I did the measurement, 5.7%
that's low.
in a DEXA scan. I was completely ripped, and you still do the thing. I was waking up super hungry at night.
Of course,
like, I don't know what part of my brain woke me up. It was like, you are dying, you have to eat. That's
of course, it's the
back in the days. Like,
of course, it's coming.
And all these things, and then you go into a gym session, you're dead, and then you get everything out of your body in these 2 hours. And my gym buddy came to me, and I will never forget that. I did that squatting machine, and I had tears in my eyes because I pushed myself so hard. And he came to me. We didn't train together that day. And he looked at me, and I saw it in his eyes. And he was like, man, that was a solid set. And I'm like, okay, thanks, man. And in this time, I learned so much about myself, about my fears, about suffering, about what you can accomplish. And it was so easy to transition that into your other work ethics, to learn, to go through hard phases of life and all these things.
Again, out of the comfort zone, right?
Completely.
You learn so much about yourself.
You learn a lot about people around you. Who is there to support you? Who is there when you're in that mood? Who are you? Like, what is your resilience level? How do you communicate to others when you're at your edge? Can you still be friendly? Can you still be happy?
It teaches a lot about yourself, right? And I remember exactly what I also experienced. There were some things where I was really shocked about myself. Like, okay, this is how you react to these kind of things.
Had the same thing.
So need to change that.
I know people who lost everything because of one competition. The relationship.
Because you're not yourself anymore. You can't.
Because you're in this phase, you're like, your body is starving every day.
You're really out of your mind.
What I told myself, like, I made this decision. So why should anybody suffer around me?
That's true. That's
and
good.
There were so many learnings, and people think of bodybuilding is dumb. No matter what they think, it depends on. I think it doesn't matter what kind of sport. Just football, maybe because it's in society is recognized, but everything else, people are like. A lot of people are like that. So, you gain a lot out of it.
That's it's so true. I remember when I did that the one time I was basically preparing. Do you know, like, Wolfgang Unsel, the strength coach in Germany? He's one of the biggest, or the world's most recognized strength coaches, and he has a studio, and so we trained there. He trains a lot high weights, really weights. So I bulked up till Now I'm 85. I bulked up till 95, 96 kilos, but on a long term, but really clean. So I ate the 2 kilos of meat for 2 years, vegetables and all that. Do you know how that works? And then this stretch to 6 weeks preparation. I remember what that was back in the day when we were still working on sites as clients. And I was in the Deutsche Zentralbank for that moment in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
That was one of our customers. I was in that mood. So I was drinking the 10 liters of water 5 days before, like really, and you can imagine how that was. Like, I was really trying not to lose this customer. I had like the inner demons, like, oh my goodness. It was such a funny time though, when I remember back, because then you were going for lunch. Obviously, everybody goes to the Italian place for lunch, eating pizza. And I was like, I'm gonna kill literally everybody here. Like, I'm gonna go berserk. I'm gonna slit his throat if he's gonna order a pizza. I was like,
the funny thing is, I had some similar situations. So when I had a super important IT audit and I was responsible for it, the external auditors came and it was the last week before my competition and I was completely on my personal limits, but we still made it. And this phase teaches you a lot about yourself. And later I transitioned to corporate role. I was international auditor and we went on site for the clients. And I was always the guy texting them like, hey, what is in your canteen or restaurant and what kind of food do you have? And
because you want to prepare.
I had everything. I had the shake with me and the rice with me. And what I learned there is like, I learned it pretty early, I would say. I was always the guy with the toppers.
Yeah.
And I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And some people judge you and some don't.
No.
But in the end, it doesn't matter what others think about you. Just be friendly on how you communicate it.
Yeah.
Like, I just explain it. And then with a lot of people, you have a connect.
Yeah.
And that's also what people, they have fear. Like, oh, what will they think of me? No. So many people said like, hey, cool. Yeah, we don't have any gummy bears in our office anymore. We just have nuts because we want to transition our office to a healthy office. And then you have that connection. And some people are like, oh, yeah, I'm vegetarian now. I'm vegan now. And the only person that is really fucked up about the situation is the guy that feels judged because of his own insecurities. And even this person might learn something from you if you respond in a, in a friendly way. And you don't try to push them, but you explain your story. And then what happened so often in my life, and I started seeing that coming to Cyprus, sometimes with a super short conversation, we give so much to people. 1 year later, they text you, they call you, they said, hey, this moment with you, they changed my life.
Crazy.
And I've never seen that before I came here.
That's true.
About stories about health, stories about fitness, stories about business,
well, you just said
stories
about
about self-development.
One guy started his own business because of a talk with you.
One guy lost 20 kilos. My best friend here in Limassol lost 17 kilos. He changed his mindset a lot, also to the positive side regarding thoughts about himself and things like that. We have so much impact on people and we don't see it because we're not grateful. We don't journal enough. We don't reflect enough. Why? Because we don't have the time because of all the duties and responsibilities.
We don't make the time.
We don't make the time. Where does it lead us? We have all these also personal and private responsibilities. I want to meet this guy, that guy, here, coffee, that. Because it's easy, because it's hard to sit down for 2 evenings and just think about nothing.
Yeah. Oh,
what happens if you think about nothing?
That's why meditation is so difficult.
Or you go to the Vipassana for 10 days. What happens there? You come from there and you're flying, man. You're flying. What do people try out? They try to...
Ayahuasca.
I solve my problems with ayahuasca. I go this... Okay. I think it can be helpful if you are at the point where you tried some other things and you go there with a topic because you want to go deeper. But what helps most of the, at least men, I can't speak for women out there who are stuck and that have problems, wake up at 5, do sports.
It will help
do that for 4 weeks, maybe do it for 8 weeks, like you said, 60-day rule. What will happen? You you can accomplish things.
Yeah.
You're capable.
Yeah.
Your body will change for 100%.
100% will change, yeah.
Everything will change. You go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
You're not stuck on your phone anymore.
Exactly.
I can give you 20 reasons for that. You will be a better person. You will be more successful. You will attract different kind of people.
And
but nobody wants to do it.
No,
Same for people who have gut problems or are bloated.
Change their diet.
It's sacrificing. No, what's sacrificing is
for your health.
Okay, how old are you? I'm 30. Okay, you have 60 more years. You want this bubble gut because of the shit you're eating? For 60 more years? I can't do it for 12 weeks. 12 weeks against 60 years? But what's the problem? We are trying to explain it. And that's what I stopped. Stop explaining it. You just do your thing. If somebody asks a question, you can tell them. But never try to push them or explain them why. Just show your way. And that's what motivates people. They see you as a role model for a super small part of their life, and then they come back.
But that's a great effect that one can have.
100%.
I completely agree. I also try to almost push this lifestyle, or like this gym stuff and the healthy nutrition and everything to other people. Sometimes it might have worked, but sometimes I realize it doesn't.
It drains your energy. It drains your energy.
And I also made the decision back in the day, like I will not do that actively anymore. If really someone asks about it, but I also what happened a lot of times, like I made for good friends. I put a lot of effort. I made trainings plans. I made health plans.
I know
what the fuck, you're not using them. Like took me one day.
So I know what you mean. And that's how you can sort out people.
Yeah.
I know friends I have, they ask me for feedback or whatever, and I give it to them, and they're executors. They directly implement it. And I know, wow, this person really values what I say. And other ones, they just ask the question because they get the dopamine out of the answer. Well, they see the solution, but they don't act. And that's so crazy. It's like if people research their dream car, then they get that feeling, but they never do something to get there.
They never get there.
And it's so crazy how the mind is structured. But I differentiate for this kind of, what kind of feedback can I give to a person? I think for men, we have that brotherhood, and that's your super close circle. And for these people, I will always tell them my direct opinion.
Truth.
Without any filter.
Yeah, I agree.
So I will tell you, hey, I think you fuck up here because this and that, and you should do this. Because that's what we need from our closest ones. Leave that woman, change that job, blah, blah, blah. It's this being super direct and straight, but don't do it for anybody else.
I agree.
We need to value that, but also be transparent in how we feel about it. If you give me that feedback, and it really drives me nuts, I should say, hey man, that was unfair because of. So, and people don't learn on how to give feedback or how to apologize. This was the past. I know I hurt your feelings, blah, blah, blah. This is the present, and that's what I want to change in the future. And to not only have words about that, that's my first action. And I think that's also super important. And we can only do that with our inner circle. We can't do that on a mastermind or...
No, you have to filter the feedback you're giving. It's very difficult skill, I think, to filter or adjust the feedback that you give to people on different levels. Again, without judging.
100%.
It's very difficult. That's something that I also learned over the last, I would say 1-2 years when the mentoring business got bigger. It's like, because then you categorize, again, no judgment, the clients into how big they are, or also the mentality. So beginners, you can't give the same feedback as you give more experienced clients. It's the same again for in the gym, right? To make the reference, if you're speaking to a very experienced guy, it's completely different feedback you give to a beginner. You can't tell him like to say it's gonna demotivate him at some point, right? It's building up.
100% agree.
But it's super interesting how much correlation is between the gym life or the gym, the sports, to the business side. It's again over and over talking about it. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it's like when we had that thing, the S&P 500 and the S&P 500 for CEOs that are lifting, and this one outperforms the other one. I didn't check the facts. I don't know if it's true story or not.
It's not,
but it was a cool visualization. And I wouldn't judge people on their gym performance or sports. It's more like, what's your thing, and do you really do it?
Yeah.
If it's hiking or if it's cars or whatever, but have something that drives you and see it for all these important areas of life. And Tony Robbins called it Wheel of Life. I've never heard it before. We always learn something new out of these events or sessions. There is finance, there is community, there is celebration, and that point was non-existent for me. And I think it's 9 different areas he summed up. And physical, and you need to be in all of that. Because if this wheel has areas that are underdeveloped, then your car is not driving properly.
Definitely.
And I looked at it and I was like, okay, physical, I did a 9. You rated it in a scale of 1 from 0 to 10. And my first thought was, I want to bring physical to 10. How stupid is it? Because there were other areas that were lacking a lot. So, okay, how do I bring my excitement and joy and curiosity into these other areas? And that was really cool. If you look at it holistically, and then you think of, okay, how do I need to change my routine or switch a little bit the things that I put effort in to just move, and what is blocking me, and then he's also going through a list and what are your limits, and then it's so clear because it's super rational on how to move on with other areas of life.
It builds up on each other. It builds up. But what Tony Robbins did, as now just seeing it from the outside, he raises such an awareness about things that we weren't aware of. It's the same. You need to have the external push again to break out of a comfort zone. Everything is cool, but how do you know what's coming if you are not driven to see what is possible, right? This is the definition of the comfort zone. It might be super cool, everything is, but maybe there's even much more things that make you happy.
It didn't feel good.
No, it didn't.
It was not easy at all. And you can have that coach 1 hour per week, 2 hours per week, WhatsApp contact. Nothing will bring you to that level. It's always a mix of different things. But 4 days, this topic, super intense. A lot of changes.
I bet.
Because you never take 4 days for all these things. As you said, like you go really deep. And you have these discussions afterwards, and you're challenging with your friends or with people who you go there, and that's really intense, really cool. And everything they do is based on facts and studies, and he also shows that. For sure, it's also a little bit of NLP. Some people say they don't like it, but whatever, it helped. Completely fine. And if you think of, okay, I can get that online coach, or I can go to a therapist, or what? This guy is coaching the most successful people in the world. I don't care if he makes billions with his business, because people say, oh, it's just a money machine, and look what he wants for the ticket. Oh yeah, so I can learn something from him, how to make a shit ton of money, and even if that's still learning, because he goes there, he's sweating like hell, he's pushing himself, he's jumping more than everybody else, he's really believing in what he does. I don't care if people think he's a guru or what. He's talking to Warren Buffett. He's talking to Conor McGregor. He's in the White House, like I can learn from him. And I don't care if you think he's a guru or it's out of space or whatever.
Again, openness, right? Openness to be able to learn from others or extract what is necessary or important to you. You don't need to have 100% alignment or agreement. Sometimes 50% what you take is enough. Maybe that's the 50% that we're missing in some puzzle. You don't know.
And I always tell people when they ask me, how was it? I say, watch the Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
1 out of 10 tells you I watched it. It was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you really interested in it?
Yeah, I will. I will.
Yeah.
I will definitely. No, it's on my bucket list, and I think I will actually book the ticket for next year, because it's locked up. Yeah, I also need to lock up the things. So.
Yeah, and you just take 4 days off completely.
Yeah,
so
that's
really
good.
Cool.
I did once. Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like a retreat.
Power of Now.
Yeah, exactly. I did that. I think it was in Amsterdam, or something like that. It was also like a 3-4 day kind of retreat mastermind. I did that back then with my former business partner. Yeah.
I just read about that because I think I looked up for Joe Dispenza masterminds, and I think Eckhart Tolle was also mentioned as a speaker award, or they do together. That's on my list for the next time.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza, I know people who went there. They really liked it. Eckhart Tolle, I would say maybe back then wasn't in the right mental state to get the knowledge out of it. I would like summarize my experience there. I made great connections and everything, and took a couple of things, but I think if I did it now, must have been like 6 years, something like that ago. Not the same mental state. I would say.
Also, a reason why I came to Cyprus, when I decided to leave Germany, I created that list of countries. I created my project plan. I compared everything, taxes, social, health, sun, blah, blah, blah. And then I wanted to see all these countries and make a decision. Yeah. And then I said, okay, what feels good for first run? Just go to Cyprus for 1 month. Yeah. I went here. Yeah. I went to a few masterminds. I got in all these Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups. I contacted people I knew from my network. Do you know anybody from Cyprus? And I was invited to some local branches and whatever. Yeah. And then I met people, and one guy was like, hey, I went to Tony Robbins 5 times. And I'm like, wow, I'm right here. That's right. Because when I speak about Tony Robbins, nobody knows him. Crazy. And so I saw these people who were like 10 years older, and I saw that kind of role model, and I was like, wow, I learn a lot here. Yeah. I felt like it's not forever, maybe 3 or 5 years, and there is limitation, and we all know the limitations of being on a small island, but still you can progress. And so I just said, okay, fuck it. I don't need to compare anything. Yeah. Let's just go here, see how it goes. Yeah.
You can always do something different. I mean, the most important move is to move away from Germany in that case.
And I also will not forget what somebody told me at one of the meetups. The person told me, hey, you can't run away from your problems.
I said, you will have problems here too. Yeah.
I said, I make this decision not to run away from your problems, but because this is the away from and towards. Yeah. And I have both of it. Yeah. And I knew people, you meet them at these meetups, and they have the same language like before.
That doesn't make
sense. Just complaining.
That makes no
sense. So they took everything from their country here, and they are stuck in that. I'm in a coaching, but this still feels shit. And
That's why I honestly stopped to go, or really never started to go to some of those Stammtische meetups, because the atmosphere, the topics, it's like, that's actually why I distanced myself from that one place, from Germany, because that's not the feeling, the vibe. So
I had the same. I stopped going there, but I also realized it's again my belief. Mm-hmm. If I go there with this mindset and I say, oh shit, the people there, then I will not pick the right person. So maybe just go there, be super open-minded, see, okay, who has my vibe, and just say, hey man, I think you look super smart. Like, who are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, there's always that's true. It's a mindset. You will always find someone. Yeah. It's interesting. And how long have you been now in Cyprus?
I moved here beginning of 2023.
Okay.
So it will be 2 years.
2 years. This year. Yeah. Good decision.
Yeah. Best decision of my life. Yeah. And the biggest transformation ever. Yeah. And also Tony Robbins again, like what were the 2 biggest and most important changes? This was one of them, because it had effect on so many areas of my life. Yeah. And I had to outgrow my old self.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I came here alone with one suitcase. I knew nobody. I didn't know if Paphos is the right place.
Yeah.
The first 6 months felt like it's going down. I'm just working. I'm just going for a walk. The gyms are shit. I don't like the food. I don't connect to the right people. And then I was like, hey, everything you do is in your responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, get out and try to connect to new people.
Yeah.
So I contacted some of the people here and I said, I need your help.
Yeah.
I want to meet new people.
Yeah.
And then the guy Jörg told me, hey, you should go to Johannes meetup.
Yeah.
I said, who is Johannes? It's a Swedish guy. Just go there. Here's the invitation. And I went there. Oh, cool. And then I met Justin.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then I met a lot of new people. And I'm like, that's my vibe. Yeah. Because if you have one person, that person has change. The same kind of group of friends. You have value overlap. You're in the same topics. And that's when everything went upwards. I just went out again and again and again, and I spread the message, and I tried to focus on the good things. I stopped going for these walks because I felt like a pensioner going for a walk in the evening. I said, I get a walking pet, so the time in the evening, I have more time for myself. I can spend it in a different way. And that was the transformational process. And as you said, like, value what you have. I remember it, April 2023, I went for a walk at the harbor, and I was in that mindset still, like, not everything is going as it should be, And then I stopped at the sea, and I was looking at the sun, and I was listening to a super nice song, and then I closed my eyes, and then it all popped up in my mind, like, wow, what did I do? What changed? I came here alone. I'm on an island in the middle of the sea. Around us there is atmosphere. Without it, I couldn't breathe. There is like this whole thing, like, we are in the universe. The sun is needed to create that space for us, to create a space to live and all that. And I had that realization about the universe, and then the small steps I took and how small I am, and that I should be grateful to be here and to have the chance to do all these things. And I was like, wow, I just should appreciate everything much more. And I should especially appreciate that I made this decision and that everything I did led towards being here and having the chance to experience that. And that was a super transformative moment. And it's so
cautiousness and mindfulness.
So interesting to have these special days, and they are stuck in your head forever in a super positive way.
That's nice. I remember when I came here, I also had one of these, how do you say, moments?
Realizations.
Realizations when you actually, like, that's why I meant you kind of stop, because it's my 4th year now. So at some point, like, you need to force yourself, like, whoa, don't forget where you are. It's like, just enjoy the moment sometimes. It can be a sundowner at the beach, something like that. That sticks to your head. But it's important. It's important to do so.
Get out 3 or 4 times per year. At least go to 2 masterminds for 1 week, at least. Go to a place where you would never go, or you've never been before, 4 days Tony Robbins, whatever, and also do a workation. And all these things always are like, shit, I can't focus on family, I can't focus on business, Maybe my woman, my girlfriend is not with me. But that's this 1 month in Asia, in the US, wherever, you learn a lot. You learn, what do you love? Like, why do you love your wife so much? You learn, like, why do you love your family so much? They are even more far away. And you enjoy all these things, and then you come back and you got enough out of these opportunities, distractions, change, and then you come back
cherish it more.
And I think that's so important, because looking back, what did I miss out by thinking of, I need to do this, and this is right, and that is right. No. This is the variety human need a little bit. And as I don't have it inside of me, I need to plan it and push myself a little bit into that, because I always got a lot out of it. That was also super big learning.
Out of the comfort again, right? Every time the same story.
Not being stuck here and thinking of everything is good how it is. I think that's a good point to close this conversation.
Yes, I think so too. what? I think we're 2 hours in. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah.
Time ran. By.
Time ran. Well, we started on the fly, so to start,
That's right?
So maybe to wrap the podcast up, who's Fabian? Because we missed that.
Fabian, yeah, it's a guy who randomly came here and we just said, hey, let's sit down and move on because we already had a great conversation.
The question, if a viewer is listening to this podcast, I bet nobody would even remotely think that it's about somehow IT. Because we were touching the topic a couple of times, so like could be anything.
Could be anything, yeah. Maybe for me even more interesting, why did you invite me before I answer your question? Because we didn't know each other, we've never met before.
It's the first physical meeting. We texted 1-2 times on LinkedIn, literally, and then switched to WhatsApp, and then made the podcast, right? And you were traveling the last 1-2 months, and then made that. Why did I invite you? Pierre said, Fabian, you should talk to. He's a. I think you guys would connect.
Yeah, I think
Christian told me too, because with Christian I was. As I said, I'm coming to his mastermind in 2 weeks as a speaker. He's coming to mine. We actually found out that I live in the house that he wanted to have a couple of years ago or something like that. Like he knew exactly where I was living.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a coincidence. And he also said, meet Fabian. And podcast is always a great moment or situation to get to know a new person. So yeah, it's definitely clicked from, I think it was really cool.
Yeah.
But you need to definitely, who's Fabian and what are you doing?
Yeah, okay. I will try to summarize it a little bit shorter because we already spent so much time. I'm originally from Germany, from the south of Germany, as everybody can hear based on my accent, I think. I just had a super regular life, I would say. I studied computer science after being in the army. I didn't have a clue of what to do, and then I thought, hey, I was always good in cracking games and playing computers, so it makes sense to study computer science. Made completely no sense because it was all about developing software. But what I learned there is that I'm much better if I enjoy things and I just pick what I like, and that's what I did when studying. I took the topics that I liked, and so I started at an IT service provider. I was responsible for the IT and basically for everything, and I wrote my bachelor thesis about the topic of ISO 27001. It's a compliance and information security framework. It's like in the MOT or the TÜV for a car. So you have to comply to some rules to be able to drive on the street. You have to comply to some rules to get the certification and show and give assurance that your customers' information is protected and your services are secure. And that's what I did initially. IT management, I built up the IT. I did the first level by myself, resetting passwords. I went through all that, Exchange server down on the weekend and things. But then I built up the IT so that the first and second level could be done from somebody else. And after 5 years, I said, I got audited enough. And I handed over these responsibilities and I changed the environment. I went to Liebherr, a super big enterprise, 50,000 employees, more than 200 locations. The company before had 3 locations, 250 employees. And there I was international auditor. We went on site in the different locations globally, did audits, pen tests, security checks, and I was leading the global cloud security strategy, which was really cool, Microsoft mainly. And there I understood, hey, I like the topic cloud and I like the topic ISO and security. How can I combine it? I want to move on there. COVID hit us, no more audits, no more business travels, projects were super slow. And I said, I don't know if this corporate style really fits to me. I was so curious. I tried to improve a lot, but there is this limitation barrier of vitamin B and political discussions. So I said, that's the chance now. No more packing the suitcase, no more traveling. Okay, what can I do? I want to do this project with other customers. So I created a side business that went pretty well. I had to decide on how to move on within the first year because I got so many requests. And I just started by reaching out to people I knew from studies. Like they were all CIOs or team leads in an IT. I reached out to my old suppliers when I was responsible for the IT, and everybody was like, hey, working at university was cool with you. Hey, this project was cool. Okay, you can help us with an audit or security check or whatever. So I started as a freelancer. Then I understood it's not about the money. Like no matter if you make 5,000 or 10 or 50, or you really hustle and you get it, it doesn't make me happy.
Yeah.
No matter how much I got from the business or from being a freelancer, I want to create a vision again. And what I also understood going this way was like, who are the customers I want to work with? Because all the big projects bored me out. I didn't want to talk to these people anymore because they made everything so complicated on purpose and things. I want to people on eye level. I want the people I would go for dinner with, have a podcast with. Yeah. And again, I want to build up a team like I did it in my first role. So that's what I started then. We niched it down much more. Everything got more clearer, the service, the product, etc. On that way, I went to Entrepreneur Mastermind, where I met my current business partner, Ollie. And he was CEO of a cloud consulting agency, and he was just transitioning out of that. And we clicked instantly. So we were always in touch. And then we went on a vacation together in Thailand, and we said, hey, let's see if we can build something together and how to move on from there. And I said, after Thailand, I leave Germany. And so maybe it makes sense to found the company together. Yeah. That's what we did. We did a lot of creating the sales process new, forming the product, understanding what the customer really needs, because you always think you know what they need, but your offer doesn't fit. Yeah. They don't understand it. So we changed that quite often, and we really tried to understand the requirements. And on that way, we worked with freelancers mainly. So I said, I know how it is to be a subcontractor. Yeah. You don't want to make advertising. You just want the customer. You want to work in a SOP or in a clear process. Yeah. That's what we did. So I said, okay, we don't have them on our payroll, much easier. We just bring them the projects and they do the implementation projects. And then we came to a point where it was really not so easy to steer the freelancers, because a freelancer is still like an artist. They have their own mind a little bit, etc. And we don't have the knowledge inside. So we said we need to transition to employees again. Yeah. That was good for the beginning, but it's not sustainable for growth and for scaling. Yeah. And when we came to that point, we met the public cloud group. And they said, hey, we want to be the biggest cloud solution provider in Europe. And we said, hey, cool, we want to be the best compliance consultancy in Europe. Yeah. And they said, oh, sounds good. It's a private equity funded company. They already bought like 6 or 7 other companies, mainly doing AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Cloud. They have had their own development business unit and also SAP Cloud unit. And we exited end of last year. And we are now the business unit security and compliance. Yeah. So we are 400 people worldwide, 10 locations, a lot of different services, and everything is connected together. Because if we have a compliance customer that needs hardening, the Microsoft unit can do the hardening. Yeah. We have somebody for the pen testing and things like that. Nice. Yeah. And our offer is now pretty standardized. So we offer fixed price implementations, because in the end, the customer wants a certification or the label. So we just sell the result. We do that mainly for software as a service and IT companies, because that's where we are both from. Yeah. And also our team, they are all techies. We don't work a lot with production companies or different industries. We really focus on that because that's where our experience is from and where we have a lot of leverage, not only for the compliance topics, also improving the business strategically. Yeah. And that's what we love. That's what we enjoy. All our consultants are former auditors and IT guys, so they speak all these languages.
They know the business.
Really important to understand the business and also the auditor side. And our service is a tool. So we have everything in software, which makes things easier, like policies, risk management, asset management. All the requirements are translated into features. Then we have the expert, the consultant, who is former CISO auditor, who guides you through the process and supports you. And we have the audit coaching, and it's a super important part. We talk to the certification bodies. We check the CV of the auditors. We bring auditor and customer together because it's still business between people.
Yeah.
It's important to have a chemistry fit, and it's important that the auditor brings value for your business. Because auditing is not a job a lot of people do anymore. There's mostly older people, I would say, and sometimes they come from quality management or data privacy, and that's a different mindset. So we need somebody who understands young software service companies. It's not about what is with this fire extinguisher or the first aid kit. It's about how do you do cryptography? How do you host in the cloud? So that's also one of our biggest selling points, I would say, that we offer these 3 pillars of success, and we don't do time and material to bring you to the consultant or to the certification. We help you the whole way, and we do hand-holding support within the audit. We do audit coaching. We help the employees to understand how an auditor thinks, because most mature people get weak knees when there is this audit, because it's long time ago till they had exams at school or whatever. It's still
the same,
kind of, oh, there is a test now. And that's how, for what kind of situation we prepare them. And that's what we do. And after that, you have the possibility to go into a managed service, because an auditor will come every year, surveillance audit, recertifications. We help them to improve. And what we build up initially is more a solid baseline on where to improve from. Because in the IT, people are often stuck in perfectionism and they want to build Fort Knox. We are more doing the basics and focusing on what are the business goals, strategic goals, and how does security support these goals.
It's not a block, actually, or a hurdle to overcome.
And that's basically what I do, where I come from since more than a decade. Being CISO, being auditor, being responsible for IT, being a founder myself, I've seen all these different systems, processes. I know the pain of growing a business, and that's why we can support businesses so well.
Well, that's an awesome story. I loved a couple of sentences. Standardization, no time and material, managed services, because I'm extracting that, because that's literally what we are praying, right? That's how I scaled my consulting businesses, go away from time and material, all this end result. That's what you want to have, the value, the end result, fixed prices, standardize it, productize your service offerings, what we are teaching our clients, our client companies as well. In Microsoft, Dynamics, Power BI, SAP, whatsoever, it doesn't matter. That's basically the same process that you're describing, goes for every IT niche. But as we said also a lot of times about mindset, it's where a lot of companies are stuck, right? Because they are used to run everything is time and material based, 50 people, body leasing, awesome. One customer, 80% of the team, no risk at all. I mean, running after the invoices, 3 months to get paid. It's great business.
And I think we touched a lot of points today that were super important for us to be successful. Out of your comfort zone on LinkedIn, standardizing your product, niching down the customer, not trying to do everything for everybody. So really knowing what problem do I want to solve for whom, understanding the customer needs to shape the product. And I always thought I know what they need. I thought they need 12 months managed service. We helped them for the certification and afterwards. And they were like, why should I buy 12 months? I just need that paper. And so I had to completely rethink my idea. And I even did a master thesis about 2 topics. And we had the students and they were working on the offer and testing the tools. And a lot of this information was helpful for us, but a lot of this information was also useless. That's also super important. Then the hiring process, we had it. We didn't talk about ABC employees, but I think we touched a lot on the values, your own why. Yeah. Who are you? What are your values? If you don't know that, you can't build a business, and you don't know who you want to work with. And what skills and what capabilities do you need to build a business? Journaling, reflecting, steadiness, going through faults, going through failure, all that. I think we had a lot of these topics. Going to the masterminds, meeting new IT people.
It's a lot. It's good that we recorded it.
without going to the first mastermind of my life, where I met my co-founder. Out of 70 people, he was the one I clicked with. Nothing of what I spoke about today would have happened in that way.
So it always happens the way it should happen.
Same for without moving to Cyprus.
We wouldn't sit here. That's obvious.
And there were a lot of things happening there. And I think some of my own biggest learnings of topics I've not seen like that before, next to LinkedIn and posting, was the networking topic. So important to network, to talk to people, to understand them, to take your time.
I mean, just look, we are sitting here. We would never have met, we wouldn't have met Justin, who's sitting there. We know similar people. And that's the cool thing about Cyprus. Like, in that brief time that I'm here, that we are here, I met so many crazy people, like positively crazy people, because you put yourself in the position and you're searching for it and you find it. That's what I really love. Like, people from different businesses, you get different kind of perspectives on life. It's really life-changing, this experience.
Also, what you learn from exiting, what kind of people you meet when you go that way. It was not planned. Nobody ever thought about it.
Never. It always happened.
Be open for opportunities. Go into the discussion. See what you learn out of it.
I mean, if you exit, that's a different story for another podcast.
Same like the LinkedIn thing. I think I can speak 2 hours about how to move on with LinkedIn.
We can do a re-podcast at some point. Yeah, cool. There's a lot of things to say.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thanks for being here.
Learned a lot from today, especially again that how important it is to share and to be open and to be open to have new conversations, because we've never met before.
No, honestly,
this is completely spontaneous, and we instantly clicked because the group of friends is somehow similar.
That's how it should be. But it's honestly, we haven't met, and that when the camera started rolling, that was in the middle of the first discussion. It's still ongoing. And that's really cool. It was awesome. And I'm honest, I'm gonna pee in my pants if we don't stop. I'm very honest. I'm sitting here since half an hour like this, trying to squeeze, and I think I have a second pair of pants if I'm lucky today.
Great to meet you,
Fabian. Thank you. I'm really,
No. I've been 3 times, I think, since